Chapter 28:38. In another place, the ice hell. This was an extremely cold hell. There were ice mountains and snowy lands everywhere. Strong winds howled and snowstorms ran rampant. Every drop of water turned into ice. It was a vast expanse of whiteness that seemed capable of freezing even demons. At this moment, the invincible demon hellhound Kesley arrived at this place. In a palace, a dozen or so invincible realm demons gathered. They were all invincible demons of the ice hell. They had high statuses and were also the hellhound Kesley's companions. Kesley, you said that you came back to the ice hell to get rich with us and go to the Green Lotus hell with us. Is that true? You're not lying to us, are you? One of the invincible demons looked suspiciously at the impassioned Kesley. Although they were old acquaintances of Kesley, they didn't dare to believe that he would be so kind as to bring them along to get rich. It would be great if he didn't cheat them of their money. They didn't even dare to think about getting rich. Lie to you? What right do you have to say that I'm lying to you? You make it sound like I'm harming you by bringing you to get rich. Think about it carefully. With your intelligence and my abilities, do you think I can lie to you? The hellhound Kesley shouted. That makes sense. With our intelligence, there's no way you can lie to us. The group of invincible demons nodded. They all felt that it made sense. That's right. The hellhound Kesley said. Just now, I said that the Green Lotus Hell is a high-level hell plane. Moreover, it's about to advance to the demon god plane. If I'm lying to you, you can discover something fishy before we enter the Green Lotus Hell. You can turn around and leave, or you can instantly capture me and kill me on the spot. Think about it. You have more than a dozen invincible demons, but I, Kesley, am alone. Can I defeat more than a dozen invincible demons working together? Impossible. No matter how powerful you are, you can't defeat more than a dozen invincible demons working together. There's no doubt about that. An invincible demon had no doubt about this. If more than a dozen invincible demons working together couldn't kill the hellhound Kesley, then they might as well just die. If I wanted to deceive you, I would have to deceive you one by one. How could I deceive a bunch of you at once? Isn't that just asking for trouble? When the scam is exposed, it will be the day of my death. Do you think I am that stupid? Can it withstand the wrath of so many invincible demons? The hell dog, Kashmir, said righteously. Indeed, you can't possibly be that stupid. Once we find out that you're lying, we'll kill you without hesitation. The dozen or so invincible demons nodded. They were starting to believe Hellhound Kashmir's words. Looks like everyone has reached a consensus now. There's no reason for me to lie to you all, and I don't have the strength to endure your anger. There's only one answer to that. That is, everything that I've said is true. My purpose for coming here is to bring you all to get rich and head to the Hell of Blue Lotus to plunder the treasures. The Hellhound Kashmir said without hesitation. Yes, yes, yes. The dozen or so invincible demons could not help but agree with Hellhound Kashmir's words. Besides, even if you fellows enter the Hell of Blue Lotus and discover that some things are different from what I said and you feel dissatisfied, you can still leave at any time. The Hell Dog, Kashmir, shouted, Tell me, if you 10 or so invincible demons want to leave, do you think I, the Hell Dog, have the ability to stop you? Who in this hell plane can stop you fellows from leaving? It is impossible to stop us from leaving. No one in this hell plane has the ability to do so. One of the invincible demons said proudly. This was the confidence they had as invincible demons. Even if they could not defeat the invincible demons, if they wanted to flee, they could easily do so. Since there is no way to stop you fellows from leaving and I am no match for you fellows, what good items do you fellows have? Instead, I am worried that you fellows will turn against me after obtaining the treasures and snatch the treasures from me instead. The Hell Dog Kashmir said. Don't worry. We are all loyal demons. We will never do something like that. The 10 or so invincible demons patted their chests to show that they were loyal demons. The hell dog, Kashmir, immediately felt disdain. He had never seen any loyal demons before. These fellows were even more shameless than he was. However, as long as he could trick these 10 or so fools into the hell of Blue Lotus, he would have completed his mission. That is true. Who knows what will happen in the future? At any rate, I am sincerely inviting you fellows here. If you fellows are unwilling, I will leave right now. Those who walk different paths cannot make plans together. The hell dog, Kashmir, retreated in order to advance. He indicated that if they still did not believe him, he would leave. Wait, brother. What are you saying? It is not that we do not believe you. It is just that we are somewhat doubtful. After all, for a hell plane with many treasures and few demons to suddenly appear in hell plane is truly unimaginable. An invincible demon hurriedly stopped him. That is why it is said that this is a fortuitous encounter that is unparalleled in the world. If you miss this opportunity, you won't be able to find it again. This is a land of gold. Whoever enters first will be able to reap the benefit. If you come late, you won't be able to reap the benefit. The hell dog, Kashmir, shouted. I am giving you fellows a chance to get rich and give you some pointers because we are brothers. If you were any other demons, I wouldn't even have bothered. Moreover, seeing is believing. Whether it is true or not, you fellows just have to follow me to the hell of Blue Lotus. In any case, it won't take up much of your time. That is indeed the case. Then let's go, brother. It is not very far away anyway. The 10 or so demons were tempted. They were completely convinced by the hell dog, Kashmir. In any case, there was no danger in going to the hell of Blue Lotus, and the rewards were high. There was no reason for them to not go and take a look. If it was really different from what the hell dog, Kashmir, said, they could just leave. Was there anything in the world that could stop them from leaving? They were very confident about this. Hearing these words, the hell dog, Kashmir, was secretly delighted. This bunch of idiots had finally taken the bait. However, he still put on a calm expression. Cough, cough. Since that is the case, then let's set off right now. A long night is fraught with trouble. The sooner we go to the hell of Blue Lotus, the sooner we can get rich. He wanted to strike while the iron was hot. Otherwise, this bunch of invincible demons would change their minds after one night. All right, then let's pack up and go to the hell of Blue Lotus. The 10 or so invincible demons did not doubt him and immediately agreed. At the same time, the other 100 or so invincible demons in the hell of Blue Lotus were also working hard to recruit people, tricking the invincible demons scattered in the surrounding hell plains into heading to the hell of Blue Lotus one by one. This was a large-scale scam. Chapter 2839. A few months later, the invincible demons that had left the Green Lotus Hell brought their brothers back to the Green Lotus Hell one after another. They were extremely efficient. The first to return to the Green Lotus Hell was Cecilio the Hell Elephant. He was too fast. He brought 20 to 30 invincible demons back at once. Initially, there were only a dozen of them. However, the news had somehow leaked out. The other invincible demons in the Boulder Hell actually took the initiative to look for them, hoping to join this operation. After Cecilio the Hell Elephant repeatedly declined, they still forcefully joined this operation. As a result, the team suddenly swelled to the extent of 20 to 30 invincible demons. They arrived at the Green Lotus Hell in a grandiose manner. Oh my God, is this the Green Lotus Hell? What a majestic and vast high-level hell plane. It really has the aura and source energy of the demonic god plane. As soon as they arrived at the outer region of the Green Lotus Hell, they couldn't help but exclaim when they saw the vast and boundless Green Lotus Hell before them. They had seen many high-level hell planes. There were some that were even larger than the Green Lotus Hell. However, the most important thing about a hell plane wasn't the size, but the source energy it contained. The source energy contained in the Green Lotus Hell was incredible. It was something they had never seen in their lives. It was vast and boundless, like a boundless galactic whirlpool. It contained the image of a demonic god. Brother Cecilio is right. This Green Lotus Hell really has the potential to advance to the demonic god plane. In fact, it's in the process of advancing. We've struck gold this time. An invincible demon couldn't help but exclaim. To be honest, when it heard Cecilio's bragging, it didn't believe the other half. It still maintained a skeptical attitude. This was the suspicious nature of demons. However, after seeing the Green Lotus Hell, all its doubts were swept away. After all, a high-level hell that could advance to the demonic god plane had all sorts of treasures in it. The other invincible demons were also wild with joy. It seemed like they had made the right decision to follow Cecilio to the Green Lotus Hell. If they had hesitated, would they still have any leftovers? Would they still be able to get rich? If they missed this opportunity, they would definitely regret it for the rest of their lives. At this moment, they were feeling slightly regretful in their hearts. In fact, they'd heard about the hell of the Green Lotus before. However, they didn't think much of it and thought that it was fake. In the end, the hell elephant Cecilio actually took advantage of them, becoming the first batch of unmatched fiends to enter the Green Lotus Hell. Then, he became rich, becoming a tycoon in front of them, to the point where they even looked up to him a bit. If they had left with Cecilio, the hell elephant, they would have gotten their first pot of gold. It's alright, it's just SOSO. From now on, this will be the place where I, the infernal elephant Cecilio, will rule. The infernal elephant, Cecilio, stood with his hands behind his back, looking high-spirited. It was still uncertain who would be the ruler in the future. The group of invincible demons laughed coldly. To be honest, who didn't want to become the overlord of this infernal plane and occupy endless resources? If they succeeded, they would most likely become a demon god in the future. How could they let Cecilio the Hell Elephant have the upper hand? However, they still needed Cecilio the Hell Elephant to lead the way and understand the situation. There was no need for them to fall out with him for the time being. All of them went up to flatter him, complimenting him continuously, but all of them harbored ulterior motives. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. It didn't take long before they entered the Green Lotus Hell. Instantly, they sensed the dense hell's origin energy rushing toward them, gushing into their bodies as if it was free. My God, the hell's origin energy is too dense. Cultivating here for a day is equivalent to cultivating in other high-level infernal planes for 10 to 20 days. This is too ridiculous. An invincible demon exclaimed, his body trembling in excitement. The number of demons here is really low. There are only so few demons in a radius of 100,000 light-years. It's as if this high-level infernal plane has just been born and belongs to the primitive era. It's not developed at all. So many hell's origin stones, so many rich ore veins, billions of mines, and yet none of them have been exploited. Cecilio wasn't exaggerating at all. This is a land of gold that hasn't been exploited at all. Compared to the hells of boulders, the hells of boulders are practically backwater. There's no way to compare at all. We're rich, we're rich. We're really rich this time. One by one, the invincible demons couldn't help but shout out in excitement. The more they understood about the Green Lotus Hell, the more they felt that they had indeed arrived at a land of unparalleled treasures. Their bootlicking earlier was correct. Otherwise, how could they have arrived at such a land of treasures? Oh right. Where's the demonic god's ruins? An invincible demon hurriedly asked. It's at the center of the Green Lotus Hell. I can bring you guys there to take a look at the environment first. After that, we can start developing this place. Hell's elephant Cecilio said. Then we'll have to trouble you, brother. The group of invincible demons' tone turned much colder. Since Cecilio had brought them to the Green Lotus Hell, Cecilio probably didn't have much value anymore. There was no need for them to bootlick this kid like before. However, Cecilio didn't mind at all. He was very relaxed. So. Not long later, under Cecilio's lead, they arrived at the center of the Green Lotus Hell. But at this moment, a figure intercepted them at this place. This person was none other than Xia Ping, who had been waiting for a long time. An ancient demon? Why would he appear here? Could he be Cecilio's subordinate? The invincible demons were a little puzzled. They didn't expect an ancient demon to be so daring to block their path. That was simply audacious. At this moment, Hell's elephant Cecilio walked out and came before Xia Ping. He said respectfully, "Master, I'm lucky to have completed the mission. The journey was long, so I'm a little late. I hope Master won't take offense." "It's fine. You're the first to complete the mission, so you deserve to be rewarded. What's there to be guilty about?" Xia Ping was very satisfied. Looking at the 30-plus invincible demons, he didn't expect Hell's elephant Cecilio to be so awesome. He managed to trick 20-plus invincible demons into coming back. If the other invincible demons were this awesome, wouldn't he be able to subdue 3,000 invincible demons in an instant? Of course, this was just a fantasy. Not all invincible demons were as awesome as the Hell's elephant. "Master?" Hearing these two words, the invincible demons' expressions changed drastically. Huge waves surged in their hearts. One must know what kind of person Hell's elephant Cecilio was. He was an invincible demon, an overlord-level existence. Yet, such an existence was only a subordinate of another demon, and he even addressed the other party as master. What kind of demon was so terrifying that he could subdue Hell's elephant Cecilio? In an instant, their hair stood on end. They instantly understood that they had fallen into the enemy's trap. Chapter 2840. "Cecilio, what did you do?" One of the invincible demons roared and glared at Cecilio the Hell Elephant. While it didn't know what Cecilio the Hell Elephant had done, there didn't seem to be anything dangerous happening around them. After all, it didn't believe that a mere ancient demon could surround them. However, deep in its heart, it felt uneasy as though a disaster was about to befall it. The other invincible demons also had the same perception. After all, at their level, they could already sense the danger of life and death, as well as the faint threat of fatal danger. "Noisy." Xia Ping cast a sidelong glance and lightly said a sentence. Rumble in an instant, the source energy of the entire hell of the Green Lotus was mobilized. Boundless power of laws revolved and enveloped the 20 to 30 invincible demons. What? The invincible demons' hairs stood on end. Their hearts were filled with extreme fear as their eyes were filled with disbelief. This was because they realized that they couldn't speak. It was as though a strong power of laws was restricting their mouths, preventing them from making any sound. But that wasn't all. At the same time, they realized that not only could they not make any sound, but they couldn't move their bodies either. They couldn't even use a single bit of their powers. It was as though they had been completely controlled in an instant. It was as though they were frozen in place. What's going on? What's going on? All the invincible demons were going crazy. This kid had merely said 2 words and they were all under his control. What kind of power was that? They had never seen such a terrifying demon before. It was simply extraordinary. Too strong. Cecilio the Hell Elephant at the side was filled with admiration. After this period of time, his master seemed to have gotten even stronger. Previously, he was merely familiarizing himself with the source energy of the Hell of the Green Lotus. Against them, it was just a small test. But as time passed, he continued to familiarize himself with the source energy of the Hell of the Green Lotus. This made Xia Ping even stronger. He was several times stronger than before. Therefore, with just a single sentence, he was able to immobilize the 30 invincible demons and completely control them. While he was still a demon god, he wasn't any different from a true demon god. Cecilio the Hell Elephant could clearly feel the boundless power of laws and was extremely shocked. Coupled with the curse of the god of the underworld, it was even more loyal to Xia Ping. Nether God Curse. Ignoring the invincible fiend devils, Xia Ping waved his finger, summoning the power of the golden crow of Hell bloodline inside of him. He formed a series of nether god demonic curses, which he sent into the depths of the invincible fiend devil's souls. Even if these invincible devils were to forcefully resist, it was useless. In an instant, the nether god's curse forcefully broke through their soul defenses, completely controlling them as slaves. They could no longer resist, and their lives were in Xia Ping's hands. It's over. It's all over. The faces of the invincible demons turned green. They could clearly sense that their souls had been marked with a soul brand. No matter what, they couldn't get rid of it. Their lives were in the hands of the enemy. I'll leave these demons to you. Teach them the rules here, Xia Ping said to Cecilio the Hell Mammoth. Anyway, these invincible demons were brought here by the Hell Mammoth, so it was best to leave them to the Hell Mammoth. Yes, master, Cecilio the Hell Elephant said respectfully. With a whoosh, Xia Ping's figure flashed and he left the place. Cecilio, I'll kill you too. The invincible demons glared at Cecilio the Hell Elephant with bloodshot eyes. They couldn't wait to tear Cecilio into pieces. If not for the nether god curse in the depths of their souls, they would have already done so. Brother, show some respect. Don't get physical so easily. I'm your superior now, Cecilio the Hell Elephant said calmly. Get on your ass. You liar. You said that the Green Lotus Hell is rich and that the young Demonlord will come quickly. I didn't expect it to be a trap. It's all fake. One of the invincible demons wished he could eat Cecilio the Hell Elephant alive. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. He knew he shouldn't have believed Cecilio's nonsense, saying that there were treasures everywhere in the Green Lotus Hell, and that he could get rich just by coming here. Now, not only did he not get rich, but he had also become a slave to other demons. Was there anything more miserable than this? They never expected something like this to happen even if they were beaten to death. I didn't lie to you guys. You guys saw the situation. There are indeed many treasures in this place, but there are very few demons. Treasures and minerals can be developed and picked up at will. When did I lie to you guys? Cecilio the Hell Elephant expressed his innocence. You. The invincible demons were furious. They were speechless. Indeed, most of the situation in the Green Lotus Hell was exactly the same as what Cecilio said. In fact, it was even better than when he said it. But who knew that there was such a terrifying person hiding in the Green Lotus Hell, who instantly subdued them and made them slaves, leaving them with no way to escape? The most terrifying thing was that 90% of the whole thing was true, and only 10% was fake. That was why they believed it without a doubt and fell for it. But you didn't say that there was such a terrifying person here. One of the invincible demons trembled. I told you that the Green Lotus Hell is filled with dangers. Although there are many treasures, there is a high chance of death. But you guys didn't believe me and thought that I was lying to you guys. I said that I didn't want to bring you guys to get rich, that I wasn't loyal enough. You guys forced me to bring you guys to the Green Lotus Hell. You guys came here on your own. Can you blame me? Cecilio the Hell Elephant shrugged. Bullsh *T. The invincible demons were furious. What did he mean by coming here on their own? It was clearly this bastard who lied to them, using benefits to lure them to the Green Lotus Hell. But they were still young and careless. They actually fell for this bastard's trick. Demons really couldn't be too greedy. Greed could kill a demon. Now they were extremely regretful. If time could be reversed, they wouldn't have come to the Green Lotus Hell even if they were beaten to death. How was this a place with treasures? It was simply a den of demons, a graveyard for invincible demons. In any case, you guys can settle down in the Green Lotus Hell with peace of mind. Earlier on, I tricked a bunch of invincible demons back. Next time, you guys will have to do it personally. During this period of time, I will train you guys well. Learn well. Don't be like a bunch of hotheads all day long, believing everything and not even realizing that you've been tricked, Cecilio the Hell Elephant said arrogantly. Motherf *Cur, he was still pretending. He was openly admitting that he was tricking them. The invincible demons nearly fainted from anger. And from what this bastard said, it seemed like he wanted them to do it personally to trick the other invincible demons back. Just what kind of place was this? Could it be that they had entered a den of scammers? Third Sect Leader. Chapter 2841. In the blink of an eye, another few months passed. During this period of time, the 108 demons who had left returned from various parts of hell one after another, and they also had a plentiful harvest of war. Of course, not every invincible demon was as strong as Cecilio in hell, who had tricked dozens of them into coming back. The other invincible demons had also tricked at least a few, and at most a dozen. With such numbers added up, there were at least 1,000 invincible demons in the Green Lotus Hell right now. These invincible demons were naturally controlled by Xia Ping's dark god curse. To be honest, such a large number of invincible demons was already comparable to the number of high-level combat forces in some of the older high-level hells. However, these invincible demons who had been forcefully subdued as slaves were all furious. They didn't dare to lose their temper at Xia Ping, but they lost their temper at the invincible demons who had tricked them into coming to the Green Lotus Hell. Arg! You liars! You will die a horrible death. You will give birth to children without eyelids. How could you do such an immoral thing? Do you have any conscience at all? Are you still demons? One of the invincible demons roared. After knowing that he had become Xia Ping's slave, he was completely enraged. To think that he had trusted his good brother, saying that he would be able to get rich after entering the Green Lotus Hell. But now, he had become a prisoner and a slave. How could he fly? Hellhound Kashmir, come out! Come out! You have the guts to lie to us, but you don't have the guts to face us? What kind of hero is a coward? If I don't kill you today, I won't be an invincible demon. One of the invincible demons wanted to strangle Kashmir to death. Back then, he had believed this bastard's bullsh*t, saying that this was an extremely safe place and that he could pick up any treasures he wanted. F***ck. Now that they had been captured as slaves and laborers, how were they going to get rich? One had to know that they were all overlords in their respective hells. They had millions of invincible demons under them, and they lived a life of luxury. How could they become slaves now? This kind of treatment was like heaven and earth. F***ck, you bunch of F***king dogs. I knew that you guys were full of lies and didn't have any good intentions. It really was a trap. It doesn't matter if you're a slave, but you're not willing to accept it. You even implicated us as slaves. Is there a demon like you? Your conscience has been eaten by dogs, all eaten by dogs. The group of invincible demons cried out to the heavens and the earth, wailing loudly as if they were a gathering of the victims. Their shouts shook the heavens. Now they were filled with regret. After all, opportunities to get rich could not be found everywhere. There was no such thing as a pie falling from the sky. But back then, they were all deceived by that F***cur. The other party's glib tongue was like a deluge of heavenly flowers, and his tongue was like a lotus flower. It really made them feel like their hearts were covered with lard, and they were fooled irrationally. At that time, they didn't even notice that something was wrong and foolishly followed him. If they had been more careful and cautious, they might not have been fooled. But if they thought about it carefully, they wouldn't feel wronged even if they were cheated. After all, who would have thought that a dozen or so invincible demons couldn't even survive a single move from the mysterious and powerful demon Feng Du? They were instantly captured. They had never seen something like this in all their years of living. To be honest, they had seen a few high-level Hell's Planar Lords, but they had never seen one so terrifyingly powerful. It was beyond imagination, and its power was overwhelming. In fact, this had a lot to do with the Hell of the Green Lotus. The other high-level hells couldn't even compare to 1/10,000th of the Hell of the Green Lotus. The amount of power they could provide to the Planar Lords was limited. It was like how a general in the United States and a general in a small African country would receive the same amount of power from their country. That was why it was so shocking. What these invincible demons couldn't imagine was that Feng Du had the means to enslave invincible demons and completely control them. In hell, there were naturally ways to control demons, but there was not a single way to control invincible demons. No matter what, invincible demons were extremely powerful beings. They comprehended the laws of life and death, and their souls were powerful. How could they be controlled so easily, and their lives were in the hands of others? Only Xia Ping, who had inherited the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell, could do this so easily. Moreover, he could control so many invincible demons without any worries. These 2 points had fooled them. They didn't expect there to be such existences in hell. Get out here. Get out here right now. If I don't kill you, I won't let this end today. One invincible demon after another roared in the air. They were so angry that they almost died. They tried to find Kashmir and the other invincible demons, but no matter what they did, they couldn't find them. At this moment, Kashmir, the Hell Elephant, Cecilio, and the other invincible demons had gathered together. They appeared in another part of the Hell of the Green Lotus, temporarily hiding. What should we do? These guys seem very angry. Are they going to cause trouble for us everywhere? An invincible demon asked. What's there to be afraid of? We have Master's orders. We can use chicken feathers as arrows. If they don't accept it, we can ask Master to punish them. We'll make them suffer a fate worse than death. When that happens, they'll become obedient, Kashmir said carelessly. The Nether God curse could not only control the life and death of its enemies. It was even more terrifying than the band-tightening curse. It seeped into their souls. With just a thought, Xia Ping could make these demons suffer a fate worse than death. In truth, there were some invincible demons who were unwilling to accept it. They would rather die than submit. After being tortured a few times, they all became obedient, no longer daring to make any noise. That's right. We'll let them vent now. Tomorrow we'll take care of them. We'll let them know who the boss of the Hell of the Green Lotus is, Cecilio the Hell Elephant shouted. He didn't care about the roars of the invincible demons at all. After all, they had fallen into Master's hands. How could they run? Soon, these invincible demons will know how fortunate they are to become Master's slaves. Master's power can sweep through all of Hell. In the future, he will definitely become the ruler of Hell. Arturo, the invincible demon, said solemnly, his eyes shining. When the other invincible demons heard this, they couldn't help but nod. If this continued, Master would subdue the invincible demons one by one. Very soon, he would be able to subdue the invincible demons without a fight. When all the invincible demons became slaves, who in the Hell Plane would be able to contend against their master? Becoming the ruler of Hell would be a piece of cake. At this moment, they were filled with unprecedented confidence. Chapter 2842. At this moment, in an unknown space in Hell, that was the nest of the void monsters. Countless void monsters were gathered here. They were filled with evil, twisted, terrifying, and dark auras, as though they were an amalgamation of boundless negative energy, representing an indescribable existence. It seemed like the souls of ordinary living beings would explode when they saw these void monsters. They would be corroded by the terrifying darkness, unable to withstand the contamination of such negative energy. At this moment, these void monsters seemed to be communicating, speaking in a mysterious void language. Are you ready? At this moment, a voice rang out. This voice caused the void to tremble. This wasn't any ordinary sound wave trembling. This was the void trembling. It was soundless and contained a unique frequency, similar to sound waves. It was also because of this that the demons thought that these void monsters didn't know how to speak and had no intelligence. In reality, they had already spoken, but the demons couldn't hear them at all. It was just like how humans couldn't hear ultrasonic and low sound wave. This was beyond the range of what the human ear could hear. The army has gathered. We're just waiting for the order. That's good. This time, we must completely annihilate the Green Lotus Hell. We can't allow the previous failure to happen again. We can't afford to suffer too many losses. Don't worry. In order to destroy the Green Lotus Hell and kill the successor of the demonic god, this plan is foolproof. With the army here, we will definitely turn them into dust. That's right. The reason why that mysterious demon was so terrifying last time was purely because he borrowed the power left behind by the demonic god. The demonic god's power has already been exhausted. He definitely won't be so lucky this time. In order to destroy the Green Lotus Hell, we have gathered an endless army. They will definitely die this time. No demons can stop us. They will all be food. Many void monsters discussed, emitting an extremely evil aura that seemed to distort the void. That's good. Set off immediately and destroy the Green Lotus Hell. I want the successor of the demonic god to be buried with the Green Lotus Hell. From the depths of the void a voice rang out, giving the order. So. In an instant the huge void monster army moved. They were like a boundless black fog, containing terrifying dark and distorted energy. These void monsters were extremely fast, advancing towards the Green Lotus Hell. It seemed like it wouldn't take long for them to reach the Green Lotus Hell. Unknown darkness and terror were attacking the Green Lotus Hell. Meanwhile, in a palace in the Blue Lotus Hell, Xia Ping was cultivating in seclusion. He used the Nether God Curse to contract with thousands of invincible realm demons, and in fact, he also got great benefit. Every invincible realm demon slave would give him a portion of origin energy, and it was extremely pure. The source energy accumulated by thousands of invincible realm demons was quite terrifying. Fortunately, Xia Ping's body was extremely strong, so he could completely devour and absorb the source energy. Rumble, Xia Ping sat down cross-legged and meditated. His body was circulating an extremely dense amount of arcane energy. From the depths of the void, an endless amount of arcane energy surged towards him like a vast ocean. At the same time, the origin energy seeped into the depths of his sea of consciousness and poured into the 9 spaces in his sea of consciousness. With his body as the center, there seemed to be a series of terrifying energy ripples, covering a radius of hundreds of millions of light years, and ripples appeared in the void. All of the invincible fiends in the Hell of Blue Lotus could sense this peculiar energy vibration. Dong. At this moment, when the arcane energy reached its limit, the arcane energy in the 9 seas of consciousness was so abundant that it could not go any further. Some barrier in the depths of his sea of consciousness seemed to have been penetrated by the majestic energy. His whole body shook, and it seemed like he had broken through a bottleneck. Late-stage archaic realm. Xia Ping's eyes shone with a frightening light. After advancing to the late-stage archaic realm, he felt that the internal space of every cell in his body had expanded by 1/3. At the same time, every cell could contain an enormous amount of world power. Endless arcane energy was infused into every cell in his body as if it was free. The arcane energy in his body was also increasing rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. But it was not just the arcane energy that was increasing, his soul power was also increasing crazily. Originally, his divine consciousness power could cover a distance of 20 million light-years, but now it had reached a distance of 40 million light-years, which was double. This was an extremely terrifying soul power. What kind of distance was 40 million light-years? Even if one were to travel at the speed of light, it would take them 40 million years to cover that distance. To mortals, it was a distance that was unimaginable. It could be said that he could cover the entire star region with a single thought. His soul power had reached an extremely terrifying level. Perhaps even ordinary invincible saints would not be able to reach his soul power. Then, in the depths of his 9 seas of consciousness, there seemed to be densely packed fragments of the world law. It was as if all the world law was about to be completed. Once it was completed, he would have the chance to comprehend the life and death law and break through to the demigod realm in an instant. I've finally broken through? Xia Ping raised an eyebrow and opened his eyes. The mysterious power of the world law flowed in the depths of his pupils. He did not expect his speed of breaking through to be so fast. Not long ago, he had only broken through to the middle stage archaic realm, but now he had actually advanced to the late stage archaic realm so quickly. But thinking about it carefully, this was also very normal. In fact, there were not many bottlenecks between the early stage, middle stage, late stage, and perfected archaic realm. The reason why it was so difficult for primordial saints to break through was because they needed to devour a large amount of world source power. It was because of these resources that restricted primordial saints from breaking through. If there was enough energy, they could quickly advance from the early stage archaic realm to the perfected archaic realm. Previously, Xia Ping had devoured a fruit of life and death and obtained the lifetime essence of an invincible realm demon. The benefits he obtained were too great. It was equivalent to the energy of an invincible realm demon's cultivation for billions of eras. This kind of energy was simply terrifying. But after being devoured by Xia Ping, his cultivation instantly increased crazily. At this moment, he had also contracted with thousands of invincible realm demons and obtained a large amount of origin energy from them. With the two stacked together, Xia Ping did not know how many years of effort to condense dermic powers and a large amount of cultivation time. That was why he had broken through so quickly. Now I should be able to fight a demigod one-on-one. Xia Ping clenched his fists and felt his shocking and tyrannical dermic powers. They were much stronger than before. At this moment, even if he did not rely on the supreme sacred weapon or the divine weapon, he would still be able to fight an invincible realm demon. Chapter 2843. Seems like it's time to thoroughly explore the demon god's ruins. At this moment, Xia Ping stood up and seemed to cause the void to tremble. In the past, he didn't have the strength to explore the demon god's ruins. After all, this place was extremely dangerous. Even invincible demons would die if they entered. But now that his cultivation had advanced to the late-stage archaic ancient realm, he was much stronger than before. That, coupled with the blessing of the essence of the hell of the green lotus, made him so strong that he could crush even invincible fiend devils in the blink of an eye. If he was in his current state, it wouldn't be a problem for him to explore the entire demon god's ruins. Moreover, it would be greatly beneficial to the hell of the green lotus evolution. After all, if the demon god's relic was completely integrated into the hell of the green lotus, the hell of the green lotus origin would instantly reach a terrifying level. It might even have a chance of becoming a demon god plane. Whoosh! Xia Ping didn't hesitate at the thought of this. With a flash, he used the hell's origin's power to traverse the void, pass through the many restrictive formations of the demon god's ruins, and enter the demon god's ruins again. This time, he didn't bring any subordinate. He came in alone. After all, one person was enough to explore the demon god's ruins. If too many subordinates came in, they would only cause trouble. They wouldn't be of any use. The moment Xia Ping entered the city, all the evil spirits and demons in the city were alarmed. They felt Xia Ping's scorching aura, which was like the scorching sun, and he didn't bother to hide it. Whoosh! These evil spirits and devils rushed towards Xia Ping in a frenzy, treating him as a delicious meal. Too weak. Xia Ping stood in midair, looking down at the evil spirits and demons indifferently. Entering the fiend god ruins once again, Xia Ping felt different from before. Previously, he had to be careful to avoid the various demons and evil spirit. But things were different now. These demons and evil spirits were no longer a threat to him. Dong! In an instant, he waved his hand and the hundreds of thousands of evil spirits and demons in the city were swept away. They couldn't resist at all, nor could they resist Xia Ping's mighty power. However, these wraiths and evildoers did not die. Instead, they were teleported to the Gaia Avatar. This was because the Gaia Avatar needed the power of these wraiths and evildoers to grow. How can you refine this fiend god ruin? Xia Ping communicated with the will of the Green Lotus Hell's origin. He had come to the fiend god's ruin not only to explore the treasures in the fiend god's ruin, but also to solve the problem of the fiend god's ruin. This was because if the Blue Lotus Hell wanted to ascend to the demonic god plane, it had to be perfect and flawless, and the demonic god ruin was a malignant tumor within its body. If it wasn't removed, it would eventually leave behind hidden dangers. It was then that the essence of the Hell of the Green Lotus sent him a message. So that's how it is. All you need to do is destroy the array formation around the fiend god ruins. Then, you can refine the entire fiend god ruins. Xia Ping nodded. The only thing that could stop the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell from refining the fiend god ruins was the fiend god ruins' own restrictive array formation. It was a divine restriction refined by the fiend god. Although it had been countless eras and the restrictive array formation was already in tatters, it was not something that the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell could refine. Only by destroying all the restrictive array formation around the fiend god ruins would the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell be able to refine the entire fiend god ruins. At this moment, Xia Ping finally knew what the fiend god ruins were. They were the fragments of Hell left behind after the destruction of the previous Hell epoch. These fragments of Hell contained a massive amount of Hell's origin energy, and even the fiend god's origin energy. Therefore, it was a huge opportunity for the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell. Once it devoured the fiend god ruins, it would definitely be able to ascend to the demonic god plane and control unparalleled origin energy. Destroying these restrictive array formations is actually easy. Xia Ping activated the Hell's Golden Crow's eyes. His eyes could see through all the illusions in the world. Destroying these divine restrictions was probably a difficult task for ordinary demons. But for him, it was as easy as flipping his palm. As long as he could find the nodes of the array formations, he could easily destroy them from the inside. Moreover, the fiend god ruins had experienced the passage of countless years, and had also experienced the destruction of Hell. It was already in tatters, and there was no way it could be compared to its peak. Therefore, it was even easier to destroy these divine restrictions. But before I destroy these divine restrictions, I still need to get rid of all these evil spirits and fiend gods. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. That was because once the restrictive array formations were destroyed, all the evil spirits and fiend gods hidden within the fiend god ruins would swarm out. They would roam around the Hell of the Green Lotus, wreaking havoc and causing carnage. Although the restrictive array formations sealed the fiend god ruins, it also sealed the evil spirits and fiend gods. This was to prevent these monsters from escaping and causing the lives of the people to be plunged into misery and suffering. Therefore, if he wanted to refine the fiend god ruins, he had to get rid of these evil spirits and fiend gods first. But for Xia Ping, this wasn't a difficult task. It was just a waste of time. Let's begin. Xia Ping's figure flashed, and he began to sweep through the primordial Hell cities within the fiend god ruins. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Xia Ping swept through the fiend god ruins. He discovered that there were a total of 129,600 Hell cities within the fiend god ruins, which matched the number of 1 yuan. The Hell cities discovered by the invincible devils were only a relatively small portion of it. But with his full strength, all the evil spirits and fiend gods in the Hell cities were sucked into Gaia's avatar's internal space, and all of them were imprisoned. It could be said that after sweeping through so many Hell cities, he had captured hundreds of billions of evil spirits and fiend gods. This was a rather terrifying number. Fortunately, Xia Ping was very cautious. He did not recklessly destroy the restrictive array formations of the fiend god ruins. If these evil spirits and fiend gods were to escape, no devils would be able to survive in the entire Hell of the Green Lotus. It would completely turn into a dead zone. Of course, under Xia Ping's sweep, these evil spirits and fiend gods were no longer a threat. They were all imprisoned in the internal space of Gaia's avatar. At this moment, the internal space of Gaia's avatar had undergone an earth-shattering change. It was as though it had transformed into a terrifying land of ghosts and demons. Resentment, darkness, hatred, fear, corrosion, curses, slaughter, and other auras pervaded the place. Some of the fiend gods were even refined by Gaia's avatar, turning them into dark continents. Countless evil spirits and fiend gods wandered on these continents. As for Gaia's avatar, it was unprecedentedly powerful. Chapter 2844. Whoosh. At this time, Xia Ping came to the last Hell City. In fact, this was also the largest, most mysterious, and most well-preserved Hell City in the demon god's relic. As there was a powerful restrictive formation here, he stayed behind to explore. This was to ensure that nothing went wrong. All right, let's go in. Xia Ping stared at the Hell City and activated the Hell Golden Crow's eye. He saw the flaws in the restrictive formation. Even though this was the most well-preserved Hell City, with the passage of time, the restrictive formation had been mostly destroyed. As long as he found a flaw, he could push it gently and it would all collapse like the Dague-Mino reaction. In an instant, he pointed a finger and bombarded one of the flaws in the restrictive formation. Dong! Suddenly, the entire Hell City shook violently as if there was a super earthquake. The restrictive formation of the entire city had a chain reaction and there was a series of explosions. Rumble! Immediately, all the restrictive formations in the city collapsed, revealing the true appearance of the city. An ancient, savage, eternal, and deathly aura permeated the air. It was as if a demon lived in this city. Obviously, this Hell City was different from the other places. It occupied a supreme position and could be considered the core of the demon god's relic. Xia Ping did not hesitate. His body flashed and he immediately entered the Hell City. This is a palace? After entering the Hell City, Xia Ping immediately found that he had not come to an ordinary city, but a boundless palace. It seemed to be even bigger than the palace of the real demon god. He saw that in the middle of the palace square there was a huge corpse. This corpse was too huge. Standing in front of this corpse, Xia Ping felt like he was a speck of dust, not even comparable to a cell in its body. At the same time, this corpse was filled with a terrifying demonic aura, as if it could collapse the sky. Even with Xia Ping's strength, he could not stand in front of this corpse. The void of hell in all directions seemed to have been shaken, and dense void cracks appeared, like a spider web. The blood that flowed out from its wounds had passed countless eras, but at this moment it seemed to be alive. It was as if every drop of blood was beating, filled with terrifying energy. This is a giant elephant. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. Under the perception of his divine sense, he could sense everything within a radius of 40 million light-years. Although his body was very small, he could easily perceive the true appearance of this corpse. This was, without a doubt, a black mammoth that contained the terrifying bloodline of a demon god. Its skin was covered with numerous hellish runes that contained the purest essence of hell energy. System, do you know what kind of demon god this is? Xia Ping immediately asked the system. Although he did not know what kind of creature it was, there was no doubt that it was a top-notch demon god. It was not inferior to the divine beast Kuan Pung that he had encountered before. In fact, it was even more terrifying. That's a sovereign demon god, hell's divine elephant, hearken. The system replied. What? Upon hearing this, Xia Ping's body trembled, and his eyes revealed a frightening glint. Di Ting, the infernal divine elephant, was a terrifying fiend celestial that was as famous as the infernal golden crow. Its corpse had actually appeared in this place. He could not imagine the shock in the depths of his heart. The legendary supreme demon god of hell had actually appeared in front of him just like that. Could this place be the palace of the infernal divine elephant? However, this is not the complete corpse of the infernal divine elephant, hearken. It's just a part of its flesh. Because of the battle, a piece of its flesh fell off and accidentally smashed into this palace. The system said. It was just a piece of flesh? Xia Ping was a little dumbfounded. Just a piece of flesh was so terrifying, and it was so huge. What kind of joke was this? Just what kind of creature was a demon god? If it's just a piece of flesh, why is it in the complete form of a giant elephant? Xia Ping asked. Because every piece of the demon god's flesh has the ability to form a true body and has extraordinary memories of the demon god. After countless years, it naturally turned into the demon god's true body and tried to be reborn. Unfortunately, it failed and died a horrible death. The system said. Xia Ping immediately understood. Just like how a sage could rapidly regenerate a single cell, a demon god's flesh and blood cells had the ability to be immortal. Even if a trace of it escaped, it could be reborn again and return to its true body. Unfortunately, the infernal divine elephant, hearken, had gone through an unknown level of attack that even its regenerative ability had disappeared. All of its soul energy was destroyed and turned into ashes. That was why this situation had happened. However, even a piece of flesh contained a terrifying demon god's power. If an ordinary invincible demon entered this place, they would probably be crushed into a pile of meat paste by the aura. Only Xia Ping, who had the support of the Green Lotus Hell's origin, could remain conscious in the face of the infernal divine elephant, hearken's pressure and barely withstand it. What is a sovereign demon god? Xia Ping thought of this question. The system's authority is insufficient, unable to answer. The system said. Unable to answer? Xia Ping had originally thought that he would be able to know all the secrets now that his strength had increased to this level. Unexpectedly, there was still a limit to his authority. Most likely, he would only be able to know when he advanced to the demon god realm. However, according to the information revealed by the system, there was also a division between demon gods. Moreover, the difference between demon gods was extremely great. Just then, Xia Ping sensed an anxious and excited voice coming from the world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness. What? You want to devour this demon god's flesh and blood? Xia Ping immediately sensed the world tree's thoughts. It seemed like as long as it devoured this demon god's flesh and blood, the world tree would be able to grow to an unprecedented level. Even the abyssal demon god might not be able to compare to the world tree. Although the abyssal demon tree seemed to be amazing for devouring 18 god corpses, quantity could not compare to quality. Even the corpses of 1,000 ordinary gods could not compare to a sovereign demon god's flesh and blood. This was the huge difference. Since you want it, then take it. Xia Ping said to the world tree. Boom. In an instant, the world tree's main body directly flew out from the depths of Xia Ping's sea of consciousness. Its endless roots pierced into the infernal divine elephant, hearken's flesh and blood, excitedly devouring the energy of the demon god's flesh and blood. The world tree's power was also rapidly increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and its aura was constantly strengthening. Sogu website. Chapter 2845. It seems like I have more confidence in dealing with the abyssal demonic tree. Xia Ping could not help but clench his fists when he saw the appearance of the world tree. There was no doubt that this was a huge opportunity for the world tree to evolve. He could not imagine how much the world tree would grow. Perhaps even the abyssal demonic tree could not compare to it. By the way, this Hell Divine Elephant Truth Listener's blood seems to be very suitable as my 5th avatar. Xia Ping recalled his origins avatar technique. He had previously condensed 4 avatars, namely the World Tree avatar, the Hell Golden Crow avatar, the Gaia avatar, and the Kuan Pung avatar. Now that he had obtained the Hell Divine Elephant's blood, he would definitely be able to condense a 5th avatar, which would be the Hell Divine Elephant avatar. After all, this was a terrifying fiend celestial that could be compared to the Hell Golden Crow. An avatar condensed using its blood would definitely surprise him and be extremely powerful. With this thought in mind, he also collected a portion of the Hell Divine Elephant's blood as materials to condense an avatar. Is this the Hell Divine Elephant Truth Listener's palace? Xia Ping ignored the piece of fiend celestial flesh lying on the square. At that moment, the World Tree had completely occupied it as though it had become the owner of the palace. Under the perception of his divine sense, the entire palace was enveloped within the range of his divine sense. Everything was visible to him. Oh? No way, there are so many Hell Dharma treasures here? In an instant, Xia Ping sensed that one of the rooms seemed to store a large number of Hell Dharma treasures, such as the Hell Spear, the Yin-Yang Soul-Locking Chain, the Morning Staff, and so on. These Dharma treasures, which were difficult to find in the outside world and were known as the Hell Divine Elephant Truth Listener's weapons, were in large numbers in this room as though they were worthless. By the way, if this place is the Hell Divine Elephant Truth Listener's palace, it means that it's only natural for there to be a weapon vault here. There are also a large number of Hell Dharma treasures stored here for the Hell Divine Guard. Xia Ping instantly understood this matter. Swoosh! Without hesitation, his figure flashed and immediately came to the room that stored a large number of Hell Divine Guard's weapons. He directly opened the door of the room. Although this place also had restrictive arrays, and they were very powerful, after such a long period of time, they had already collapsed. With a light point of his finger, all of the restrictive arrays had collapsed. Therefore, he could easily enter the treasure vault of this weapon. So many Hell's magic treasures! After entering the room, Xia Ping's eyes went wide, and he held his breath. He could sense that the magical treasures of Hell in the room seemed as if they had never been used before, as if they had just been forged not too long ago. Moreover, there were many treasures from Hell. After a careful count, there were at least 100,000 of them. They were most likely the treasures left behind by the prison guards from the previous era of Hell. However, it seemed that these Hell magic treasures had not been handed over to the Hell prison guard. They must have been forged not long ago, and then the war broke out. After that, these weapons were left in the treasure vault, not used by any Hell prison guard. Perhaps it was also because of this that these underworld magic treasures were left behind, not destroyed. However, it doesn't seem as powerful as the Hell treasure I have. Xia Ping sensed for a moment and discovered that although these Hell magic treasures could be considered to be sharp and powerful, and had the potential to become divine artifacts, they clearly couldn't compare to the Hell Spear, Yin-Yang Soul-Locking Chain, Morning Staff, and other Hell magic treasures that he had obtained. It was as if one was a greenhorn soldier, while the other was a general who had been on the battlefield for a long time. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. The difference was too great. System, do you know why there is such a difference? Xia Ping asked. Every Hell prison guard's magic treasure is the same. They are weapons that can grow. They need the owner to go through countless battles and experience before they can grow to their peak, making people tremble in fear at the mention of their name. The system replied. I see. Xia Ping nodded, indicating that he understood. According to the system, this was because these Hell magic treasures were actually magic treasures that could grow, and the Hell magic treasures in the warehouse had just been forged and had not seen blood at all. If one wanted these Hell magic treasures to grow, they must kill, and devour the enemy's soul and flesh and blood essence. Only in this way could they grow to their peak state. As for why the Hell magic treasures in Xia Ping's hands were so powerful, it was because the Hell prison guards who wielded these Hell magic treasures had gone through fierce battles. It was unknown how much blood of demon gods and how many enemies' souls had been devoured on the Hell Spear. Therefore, it was precisely this kind of slaughter that allowed the Hell Spear in Xia Ping's hands to grow to the level where it could kill demon god. Its sharpness was enough to make demon gods tremble in fear. Therefore, the strength of these hell magic treasures depended entirely on the individual. If there were hell prison guards who wielded these hell magic treasures in their initial state, slaughtering countless demon gods, then they could grow step by step, reach the peak, and even become Yama King. But there are actually so many hell magic treasures. I've struck it rich this time. Those invincible demons finally have weapons, Xiaoping sighed. He thought of the 1,000 invincible demons he had subdued. These invincible demons were actually considered extremely poor. They basically had no hell magic treasures on them, and they were all barehanded. But it was different now. From this demon god's palace, he had obtained a total of 100,000 hell magic treasures. This way, the invincible demons he had subdued would have weapons. With the help of hell magic treasures, their strength would definitely increase by a lot. Of course, if they wanted to grow to the level where they could kill demon gods, they would probably need a long time to cultivate. But for these invincible demons, this was nothing at all. Another half a day passed. Xia Ping searched everywhere in the palace, but he did not find any more treasures. The entire palace was empty. It seemed like the original treasures had all crumbled and turned to dust over time. No matter how powerful an item was, it could not withstand the passage of time. However, obtaining 100,000 standardized hell magic treasures was still a huge harvest. One should not be too greedy. It's about time. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. After days of plundering, all the treasures had been plundered clean by him. Not a single drop was left. All the evil spirits and devils were locked up. Even if all the restrictive arrays in the demon god's ruins collapsed, there was no need to worry about the Green Lotus Hell being affected. Therefore, he had already made preparations. The next step was to destroy the restrictive arrays in the entire demon god's ruins, so that the Green Lotus Hell would completely devour this hell fragment and make it his. Chapter 2846. Dong Dong Dong. Xia Ping personally attacked. He operated the infernal golden crow's eye and pierced through the flaws in the array formations of the demonic god ruins. Immediately, the array formations of the entire demonic god ruins produced the effect of Dominique Mino. The entire demonic god ruins was already on the verge of collapse. It had been eroded by the passage of time. In addition to the destruction of the hell world, it was already on the verge of collapse. Previously, no abyssal had been able to see the flaws in the Fiend God Ruins array formation. Therefore, the entire Fiend God Ruins array formation had yet to collapse. It looked intact, but in fact, it was already riddled with holes. However, under Xia Ping's attack, the array formations of the demonic god ruins immediately collapsed. Rumble, suddenly, the entire demonic god ruins trembled. All the array formations collapsed, and the area within a radius of hundreds of thousands of light-years exploded. It was as if an area had been destroyed. Terrifying destructive waves spread out in all directions with the demonic god ruins as the center. Everywhere it passed, everything was turned to dust. Mountains and rivers collapsed and were obliterated. However, there were no demons in the vicinity of the demonic god ruins, so the collapse did not kill any demons. However, such a huge tremor attracted the attention of countless demons in the Green Lotus Hell. They also felt the intense tremor, as if there was a super earthquake. What's going on? Did something happen in the Green Lotus Hell? The invincible demons immediately woke up. They sensed that this was not as simple as an ordinary earthquake. It was as if the center of the earthquake had produced terrifying fluctuations of the demonic god, destroying everything. This kind of destructive fluctuation caused them to feel waves of palpitations. Even though they were in a state of closed-door cultivation, they suddenly woke up. They were shocked and bewildered. They had no idea what was happening in the Green Lotus Hell. Don't worry. This must be Master's doing. Only Master can cause such a huge commotion in the Green Lotus Hell. An invincible demon stood up and stabilized the morale of the demons, indicating that this was definitely Xia Ping's doing. I see. The invincible demons also calmed down. They could not help but nod. Xia Ping was the master of the Green Lotus Hell, the overlord of this hell plane. He controlled all the source power. Who could cause such a huge commotion right under his master's nose? There was no such demon in the entire hell world, so the person who could cause such a huge commotion in the Green Lotus Hell was none other than Xia Ping. But what did Master do to cause such a huge commotion? Such a large energy fluctuation. It seems to be coming from the Fiend God ruins. It can't be. Did Master attack the Fiend God ruins? He will definitely take action. With Master's strength, it wouldn't be strange for him to clean out the entire Fiend God ruin. That's not the way to put it. The Demon God's ruins contain the terrifying power of the last Hell era. There is even the power of the Demon God. Even if Master controls the power of the origin, it is not 100% safe. That's true. The lords of other high-level hell planes do occasionally have Demon God's relics, but they don't dare to casually explore them. They're afraid of dying. But since Master dares to explore, it proves that he has great confidence. I believe that nothing will happen to Master. Many invincible demons discussed among themselves. Their divine senses probed the area, wanting to get to the bottom of it. Even if they weren't worried about Xia Ping's safety, they still wanted to know what had caused such a huge commotion in the Fiend God ruins. They were all extremely curious. Look, the Fiend God ruins have really collapsed. An invincible demon's divine sense penetrated the area. He immediately discovered that the terrifying Fiend God ruins, which was originally covered with densely packed restrictive arrays, had now completely collapsed, revealing its original form. 129,600 Hell cities suddenly appeared in the Green Lotus Hell. A huge amount of Hell's origin energy spread out and surged into the entire Green Lotus Hell. It really is. Is this the true appearance of the legendary Fiend God ruins? Many invincible demons exclaimed. This was the first time they had seen the complete Fiend God ruins. They could all sense the ancient, magnificent, immortal, and eternal aura of the Fiend God ruins. It was as if they were incomparably insignificant in the face of such power, unable to withstand a single blow. The Fiend God ruins seemed to have merged with the Green Lotus Hell. Some invincible demons exclaimed. Their divine senses sensed that the entire Green Lotus Hell was trembling. A terrifying origin energy seemed to have instantly enveloped the Hell cities. It was like a giant beast was slowly devouring the Hell cities, taking all the origin energy for itself. Hell's spacetime was distorted, creating layers upon layers of folded space. Endless amounts of Hell's essence energy seeped out from the cities of Hell. The Green Lotus Hell is evolving. One by one, the invincible devils roared. They could sense that after the Green Lotus Hell devoured the entire Fiend God ruins, the Hell cities were all merged into the Green Lotus Hell. This caused the Green Lotus Hell's surface area to expand further. The Green Lotus Hell's surface area was rapidly expanding. It was like the sea was turning into mulberry fields. The land was expanding, the mountains were rising, and the sea was becoming deeper. In just a day, the entire Green Lotus Hell's surface area had expanded tenfold. One must know that the Green Lotus Hell's surface area was already extremely large, far larger than the average high-level hell plane. But now it had expanded tenfold. What a ridiculous change! They had never seen a high-level hell plane evolve so quickly in their lives. It was simply sensational. The origin energy is also strengthening. Is this a joke? How can it grow so quickly? Is it going to advance to the Fiend God plane? The invincible demons were overjoyed. It was fine if it was just the surface area. For high-level hell planes, a large surface area didn't mean much. What was important was the Hell's origin energy. If there wasn't enough origin energy, it wouldn't be able to support the advancement of all the demons. Why was it that there were so many invincible demons in Hell, but none of them could advance to the Fiend God realm? Was it because they weren't talented enough? No, that was impossible. The only reason was that there wasn't enough energy in the world to support their advancement. It was just like how there weren't any cultivators in the end of days. If there wasn't enough energy, they wouldn't be able to advance to the fiend god realm. That was why the fiend god throne was extremely important to the invincible demons. It was the foundation for them to advance to the fiend god realm. Chapter 28:47. Rumble. When the demonic god's ruins collapsed and merged with the hell of the Green Lotus, the massive amount of demonic god's source energy flowed into the hell of the Green Lotus as if it was free. This caused the hell of the Green Lotus's source energy to increase at a geometrical rate. 1 time, 2 times, 5 times, 10 times. In the end, the hell of the Green Lotus's source energy actually increased by 30 times. Heavens! All the invincible demons were going crazy. They had never seen a hell plane with such rich source energy. It was as if every breath they took could increase their cultivation. Cultivating here was like a holy land for cultivation. 1 day of cultivation here was equivalent to thousands of days of cultivation elsewhere. They were not on the same level at all. They'd been to many high-level hell planes in the past, and had experienced the abundant essence power there. However, compared to the hell of the Green Lotus, those hell planes were nothing. All the invincible demons were greedily devouring the source energy around them. They could feel their magic power increasing, and even their bloodlines improving. If even the invincible demons were like this, then the primordial demons, primeval demons, and other weaker demons could feel it even more clearly. Their magic power seemed to have improved by leaps and bounds. The endless source energy was like a bucket of water being poured into them. This was what it meant when a man achieved the Tao. His chickens and dogs would ascend to heaven. When the hell of the Green Lotus evolved, all the demons in the hell of the Green Lotus would benefit tremendously, allowing their cultivation to increase rapidly. But this was only the change on the surface. In fact, a more profound change was happening deep under the hell of the Green Lotus. The Yellow Springs River, which had only been flowing in the demonic god's ruins, was now gushing out. The Yellow Springs River connected the underground rivers of the hell of the Green Lotus, occupying every underground vein. It was as if the entire underground world had been hollowed out, forming an underground world. Bridges of helplessness spanned across the Yellow Springs River. It was a spectacular sight. The power of the Yellow Springs River was also fused with the hell of the Green Lotus source. It seemed to be one with the hell of the Green Lotus, which allowed the hell of the Green Lotus source to devour the power of the Yellow Springs. This caused even more incredible changes to the hell of the Green Lotus. Amazing! At this moment, Xia Ping was floating in the air above the Fiend God ruins. He could sense the changes that had occurred to the Green Lotus Hell. It was as if he had obtained endless benefits. The Green Lotus Hell seemed to be evolving towards the demonic god plane. It already had a hint of the glory of the previous hell. The 129,600 hell cities were scattered in the center of the Green Lotus Hell. They did not collapse. Instead, they fused with the Green Lotus Hell. In fact, when the hell cities merged with each other, they seemed to form a huge hell barrier, which naturally became a terrifying restrictive spell formation that prevented other fiend devils from entering. Of course, this was not the original demon god restriction, but a naturally formed restriction power. However, this was also good. This place would become Xia Ping's temporary palace, and no demons would be allowed to enter. This would also be his seclusion place in the future. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. After devouring the demon god's ruins, the changes to the hell of the Green Lotus finally stopped. At this moment, the entire hell of the Green Lotus was beyond recognition. It was completely different from before. First, the area of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell had increased by 30 times compared to before. This was simply the boundless territory of Hua Weiwen. So far, according to the Invincible Fiend Devil's introduction, this was the largest high-level hell they had ever seen. Perhaps there might be other places in hell that were larger than the hell of the Green Lotus Hell, but they had never seen it before. So, it could be called the largest in hell. Secondly, the source energy of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell was more than 100 times stronger than before. This was a terrifying number that could drive countless fiend devils crazy. It was unknown how many fiend devils that had been stuck in bottlenecks had advanced. It seemed that just the number of medieval and ancient fiend devils had increased by hundreds of millions, and the number of primordial fiend devils had increased by hundreds of thousands. There were even dozens of invincible fiend devils that had advanced. These fiend devils had all benefited from the advancement of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell. Finally, there was the Yellow Springs River. Most of the Yellow Springs River was hidden in the underground rivers of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell, but a small portion had turned into rivers on the surface, filled with the terrifying power of the Yellow Springs. This was also considered a forbidden place by countless fiend devils. They didn't dare to approach it. However, Xia Ping didn't care about the changes of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell. To him, there was no need to consider the changes of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell. It would form naturally. During this period of time, he used the blood of the hell's divine elephant, Di Ting, and finally condensed the fifth clone, the hell's divine elephant. At this moment, in a quiet room in the original palace, boom! Immediately, a huge black hell's divine elephant appeared in the quiet room. Although it wasn't as huge as the hell's divine elephant in the square, it emitted the same demonic pressure. Dense mysterious patterns appeared on its body, as well as the scriptures of the Great Path. It was filled with the terrifying aura of the law, as if it was the law itself. At the same time, every cell in its body contained terrifying power. It seemed like it could shatter the vacuum if it charged slightly. No divine abilities, spells, or laws could stop it. Whoosh! Instantly, all the information about the fifth clone, the hell's divine elephant, surged into Xia Ping's sea of consciousness. Fifth clone, hell's divine elephant. Divine ability 1. Listen to the sound of the Tao. Its ears are connected to the heavens and earth, and it can listen to the sounds of the endless world. As long as it's willing, no secret in the world can hide from its ears. Divine ability 2. Distinguish between good and evil. It's born with a good heart, and it can distinguish the sins of countless criminals. It can distinguish between friend and foe. No enemy can hide their sins and hostility in front of it. Divine ability 3. Hell's Law. Under the law trial, its power can also distinguish between friend and foe. It can instantly kill all enemies who are hostile to the hell's divine elephant with a single strike. Those who are kind to the hell's divine elephant won't be harmed at all. Divine ability 4. Divine Elephant Tyrant Body. In the tyrant body state, its body can be immune to all control spells, and it can reduce physical and soul attack damage to the greatest extent. Divine ability 5. Heavenly Manifestations. Its power can shatter everything, shatter space, shatter natural laws, and ignore all magical technique. It is the most powerful devil god in hell, and all living beings bow down to its power, trembling in fear. Its 4 hooves have suppressed trillions of hell's planes. Even demon deities with immortal bodies were crushed into minced meat by it, and they died without a complete corpse. Chapter 28:48. Impressive. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He could sense how powerful the Hell God Elephant was after sensing all the divine abilities of his fifth clone, the Hell God Elephant. Every divine ability had the power to penetrate the heavens and earth, as expected of a demon god that could rival the golden crow of hell. It was so powerful that it made one's hair stand on end. He had struck it rich this time by obtaining the blood of the Hell God Elephant. After all, the blood of a demon god wasn't easy to obtain. If hell was at its peak, he wouldn't even be able to meet it, let alone obtain its blood. It could be said that this was definitely a great opportunity. Beep beep. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. Warning, host. Warning, there is a powerful murderous intent heading towards the host. Please take note, take note. What? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. he immediately received a huge amount of information from the system, which was transferred to the depths of his sea of consciousness. Immediately, images appeared one after another. Void monsters are attacking? Xia Ping immediately sensed an endless number of void monsters charging towards the Hell of Green Lotus. It seemed like they would reach the Hell of Green Lotus in 3 days' time. Moreover, the number of void monsters was more than 100 times greater than the ones that attacked the Hell of Green Lotus previously. Such a number of void monsters could simply destroy everything. Even a high-level hell plane wouldn't be able to withstand it. In history, the number of void monsters that attacked a hell plane could be counted on one hand. However, every time they appeared, a high-level hell plane would definitely be destroyed, and countless demons would die. Is it for revenge? Xia Ping knew that the other party definitely wouldn't let him off easily after he killed so many void monsters previously. However, he didn't expect the void monsters to come so quickly and cause such a huge commotion. It was really unbelievable. Fortunately, the power of the entire Hell of Green Lotus had advanced before the void monsters arrived. The power that could be bestowed on him had also increased by more than 10 times, causing his combat power to be even more terrifying. Most importantly, he had enslaved thousands of invincible demons. The number of invincible demons had actually exceeded the number of ordinary high-level hell planes. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the hell world was currently the strongest high-level hell. Therefore, he wasn't too worried. Instead, he was a little excited. This is an opportunity. A chance to understand those void monsters. To be honest, Xia Ping had always wanted to understand the origins of these void monsters. Where did they come from? What was their goal? Unfortunately, he had no way of capturing these void monsters alive, nor could he obtain any information from them. Previously, he had almost succeeded. Unfortunately, there seemed to be a restriction formation in the depths of these void monsters' sea of consciousness. Once the restriction was triggered, his soul would instantly shatter and he would die without a complete corpse. Even the power of the true demon god could not force them to reveal their secret. But it's not like there's no other way. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. In fact, he had already thought of a way. The reason why the restrictive array was activated was because the enemy had asked them for information. However, if he used the power of the true demon god to transform into a void monster, and then used the power of illusion to control the other party, it would be equivalent to him becoming one of the void monsters. In that case, no matter how much information he asked, it would not trigger the restrictive formation. This was actually the weakness of the void monster's sea of consciousness restriction power. Of course, they still had to try whether they could succeed or not. There was no point in saying too much now. Let's gather those invincible demons first. Thinking of this, Xia Ping immediately summoned countless demons to an open square. The location was naturally not this central palace, but outside the cities of hell. After all, he did not want the secret here to be known by these demons for the time being. 2 hours later, all the invincible demons, primordial demons, and other high-level demons gathered on this open space under Xia Ping's command. When these demons gathered together, they emitted an extremely terrifying aura. It was like a group of demons dancing in a frenzy. It already had a bit of the aura of countless demons gathering in the Abyss world. It might even be more terrifying than the Abyss world. Master. One by one, the invincible devils greeted Xia Ping respectfully. I summoned you here because I have something to tell you. The enemy is coming. Prepare for battle. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. He tapped lightly and immediately displayed the scene of the void monster's attack. What? All the evil demons were greatly shocked, and their hearts were practically suffocating. Their pupils constricted, and they were extremely terrified. Even they had never seen so many void monsters gathered together, and this was simply unprecedented since time immemorial. If it was any other time, they would have fled the Green Lotus Hell in fear. Those who returned to the boulder hell returned to the boulder hell, and those who returned to the toxic hell returned to the toxic hell. However, after being subdued by Xiaoping, they calmed down no matter how terrified they were. "Master, what do you want us to do?" an invincible demon asked. "Very simple. Kill them all and leave them in the Green Lotus Hell. Let their corpses become nourishment for the Green Lotus Hell, and let it ascend to the demonic god plane," Xiaoping said in a low voice. The demon's pupils constricted. They had heard of what happened in the Green Lotus Hell previously. It was because they killed countless void monsters and devoured their origin energy that the Green Lotus Hell evolved to this stage. Could it be that their master wanted to repeat the previous victory? "But master, there are so many void monsters. I'm afraid we won't be their match," an invincible demon said in a low voice. It wasn't that it was afraid of battle, but the difference in numbers was simply too great. Moreover, these void monsters were basically undying existences. Even if they were invincible demons, it would be hard for them to destroy these void monsters. "Don't worry. I've already prepared the weapons for you guys." Xiaoping waved his hand and immediately threw out the treasures of hell, placing them on the ground. These are hell's treasures? Oh my god, how can there be so many of them? Too powerful. These are the legendary hell's treasures? The invincible demon's eyes widened as they exclaimed in shock. This was the first time they had seen so many hell's treasures. It was truly inconceivable. Honestly speaking, if they had hell's treasures, their combat strength would instantly increase by several folds. This was the huge effect that hell's treasures had on the combat strength of demons. That's right. These are all hell's treasures. I'll temporarily bestow them to you guys to use. If your performance is outstanding, you can have them. If anyone dares to cower, I'll slaughter them. Xiaoping looked at this group of invincible demons. "Don't worry, master. We'll definitely fight the void monsters to the death," the group of invincible demons shouted out. Chapter 2849. Several days later, the endless army of void monsters finally arrived near the Green Lotus Hell. They swarmed over, blotting out the sky. Black fog filled the air. From afar, they were even bigger than a mid-level hellplane. Everything in their path was devoured, leaving no corpses behind. They were like a natural disaster in hell. Wherever they went, everything was turned into nothingness. So this is the Green Lotus Hell? What a beautiful hellplane. I really want to destroy it. Strange. According to the information, the Green Lotus Hell doesn't have such dense origin energy. Is there a need to ask? The corpses of those idiots must have fused with the Green Lotus Hell after they died. That caused the level of the entire hell plane to rise. Those despicable demons. They used the corpses of our companions as fertilizer. They're just food, but they're so arrogant. This time, we must eradicate them all. Right. And that demon who inherited the demonic god's authority has to be eradicated. Such an existence shouldn't exist in hell. Otherwise, our plan will be ruined. The void monsters discussed among themselves. Waves of unique ripples appeared in the void as they spoke in the void language. It seems like many demons have gathered in the Green Lotus Hell. There are thousands of invincible demons. Since when are there so many invincible demons here? One of the void monsters seemed to have sensed the situation in the Green Lotus Hell. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. In the face of absolute power, all resistance is futile. We can also eliminate all these invincible demons. That's right. This is a plan that kills two birds with one stone. Not only can we get rid of the demon who inherited the demonic god's authority, we can also get rid of these invincible demons. This is greatly beneficial to our plan. Enough nonsense. Let's do it now. I can't wait to devour this hell plane. The origin energy in this place must be delicious. The void monsters laughed cruelly. They emitted an extremely evil aura that seemed to distort the void of hell. It was terrifying. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The void monsters surrounded them from all directions. They seemed to distort the void. No demons could teleport out of this place. They simply formed an encirclement. The countless demons in the Green Lotus Hell had nowhere to escape. Strange. Why aren't these demons stopping us? One of the void monsters was a little confused. It realized that its army of void monsters had charged into the Green Lotus Hell without any hindrance. There were no devils to stop them. One should know that the previous battles had taken place outside the Hell Plane. All the demons fought the void monsters outside the Hell Plane, afraid that they would destroy the Hell Plane itself. After all, if they were to fight within the Infernal Plane, the invincible demons' battle would probably cause severe damage to the Infernal Plane itself. Who knew how many years it would take to repair the damage? Therefore, countless demons hoped to stop the void monsters from entering the Hell Plane. However, they weren't obstructed at all when they tried to invade the Hell of the Green Lotus. It was simply as if the Hell of the Green Lotus had opened its doors and allowed them to enter at will. I'm not sure. I reckon that after seeing our army pressing down on their borders, they have long since fled in fear. They simply don't dare to stand before us. A void monster snickered. That's right. In the face of such a huge army, these demons simply don't have any strength or means to resist. Let's take a step back. So what if there's a conspiracy? In the face of our powerful strength, everything else is nothing. Let's do it. Most importantly, we have to find the demon that inherited the authority of the demonic god. As long as we kill this guy, our mission will be considered half a success. The other weaker demons won't matter. That's right. Find that demon immediately and kill him. Many void monsters discussed. Their divine senses scanned through every corner of the Green Lotus Hell, hoping to find the demon that inherited the authority of the demonic god. Such a demon was very special. His bloodline was thick. Among the weaker demons, he was like a firefly in the darkness. He couldn't hide at all. Found him. That demon is right in front. He's right in front of us. At this moment, a void monster couldn't help but shout. Rumble in an instant, Xia Ping and the other invincible demons appeared in front of the void monsters. They looked down from above. A formless and terrifying domain power enveloped the hell void in all directions. Seal. Xia Ping looked at these void monsters calmly. His soul fused into the Green Lotus Hell. In an instant, he mobilized all the source energy of the entire Green Lotus Hell. Immediately, the entire Green Lotus Hell shook. In an instant, 129,600 layers of energy barriers appeared, covering the entire Green Lotus Hell and isolating it from the outside world. It was like an eggshell. However, this wasn't to defend against the enemies from the outside world. Instead, it was to imprison all these void monsters so that not a single one of them could escape. Damn it. What is this demon trying to do? He actually sealed off the Green Lotus Hell? Are they trying to commit suicide? One of the void monsters was dumbfounded. It had no idea what was going on. One must know that 1 trillion void monsters had appeared this time. It was almost half of the combat strength of the void monster's nest. Against such a combat strength, any high-level hell plane would be annihilated. All demons would tremble in fear at the mention of it. However, these demons were different. Not only did they not escape, they even sealed off the Green Lotus Hell, isolating it from time and space. What were they doing? Were they trying to commit suicide? Cutting off their own path of retreat? No. I'm afraid they aren't trying to commit suicide. They are trying to prevent us from escaping. One of the void monsters guessed. Damn it. What kind of joke is this? Prevent us from escaping? These demons are crazy. They are completely crazy. Who do they think they are? How dare they do such a thing? Prevent us from escaping? This is the biggest joke in the world. Many of the void monsters were going crazy. They were simply going crazy from anger. They had run amok in hell for such a long time. When had they not been domineering? They were the only ones who dared to kill demons. But now, these demons were simply too arrogant. Not only did they not escape, they even dared to prevent them from escaping. From the looks of it, they were trying to annihilate all of them. How arrogant was this? How arrogant was this? They had never seen such arrogant demons in their lives. They didn't even care about the void monsters at all. Chapter 2850. Attack. Kill all these demons. The leader of the void monsters roared furiously, creating waves of terrifying void ripples, transmitting the order to every void monster. Clearly, it was completely enraged, and it had to kill these demons to appease the anger in its heart. Rumble in an instant, the void monsters roared at the same time, creating terrifying void fluctuations. They exploded with void energy cannons that blasted out in all directions, creating waves visible to the naked eye. The destructive power of this void was extremely terrifying. Wherever it passed, mountains would be crushed. Even an invincible demon would be heavily injured by the laws of life and death if they were struck by this attack. Kill. But at this moment, thousands of invincible demons and trillions of ordinary demons were already prepared. They had already formed a hell formation, fusing their powers into one. If it was before, these demons would have their own selfish motives. They wouldn't have been able to unite, cooperate, and form a formation like this. But after being subdued by Xia Ping, they all became the kin of the Golden Crow of Hell. They were all loyal and couldn't go against Xia Ping's orders. They were also unprecedentedly united. So when these demons gathered together, they formed a hell formation and exploded with unprecedented energy waves. Rumble formation after formation erupted from the bodies of these demons. It seemed to have turned into a super hell energy barrier, like an ancient turtle shell, covering all directions. These energy barriers seemed to be layered, and countless hellish runes circulated, producing super strong defensive power. It was as if countless laws of time and space had condensed here. The defense was even more terrifying than the world barrier. In an instant, the attacks of the void monsters arrived and bombarded the energy shield, causing an unparalleled explosion. Even the surrounding void was distorted, as if dense void patterns had appeared. The land was flattened in an instant, and the mountains within a radius of hundreds of thousands of light-years were vaporized, turning into ashes. Fortunately, the source of the Hell of the Green Lotus had been upgraded again, which made the plane itself extremely sturdy. Otherwise, the attack just now would have been enough to break the Hell of the Green Lotus. Of course, after the upgrade, the Hell of the Green Lotus was immune to such destructive power. Even if countless mountains were destroyed, it wouldn't be able to damage the foundation of the Hell of the Green Lotus. As long as Xia Ping willed it, these mountains could be restored again. If he didn't have this ability, Xia Ping wouldn't have placed the battlefield in the Green Lotus Hell. Damn it! They can actually block our void cannon. When did these demons become so powerful? One of the void monsters was dumbfounded. To be honest, they had gathered armies several times in the past to attack the higher planes of hell, and they had always achieved a crushing victory. Normally, a single attack from them would be enough to destroy an entire plane of hell, killing countless fiend devils. It was like a baptism of nuclear warheads, destroying everything in its path. But now, their all-out attack had been blocked by these fiend devils. This was completely beyond their imagination. So that's how it is. No wonder you were so arrogant earlier and even wanted to cut off our path of retreat and wipe us out. So, it turns out that you've grasped a hell formation and even trained it. The leader of the void monsters roared angrily, laughable, truly laughable. These vile devils, do they think they can stop us void monsters just by using a formation? You're dreaming. Charge into the formation and don't be afraid of death. Tear apart all the demons for me. It immediately realized that the void cannon was no longer enough to deal with these fiend devils. The hell formation could easily block all their attacks and eliminate the ripples of the void. But it had seen this situation many times. As long as they charged into the formation and slaughtered all the fiend devils at the core of the formation, the formation would collapse on its own. If it were any other race that charged into the formation, they would be courting death. But they were void monsters and had indestructible bodies. Even if they were blasted into countless pieces, they could rapidly recover. They weren't afraid of dying together with their enemies. On the contrary, they preferred to die together with their enemies. That was the only way to achieve glorious result. Rumble in an instant, the void monsters were no longer gathered together. Like a flood, they flooded over, attempting to destroy the hell formation set up by the fiend devils. Kill! The invincible fiend devils had long since anticipated this. If it were any other time, they would have long since been scared out of their wits and fled. But they had someone backing them up, and in addition to the hell formation treasures they had obtained, their battle prowess had increased by who knew how many times. One by one, the invincible fiend devils charged forward, wielding their hell spears and stabbing forward. Dong! 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 In just an instant, the vanguard army, which consisted of at least 1,000,000 void monsters, were instantly pierced through by the hell spears. Their entire bodies were shattered into pieces. The originally tough outer shells of the void monsters were now as weak as tofu. They couldn't withstand the sharpness of the hell spears at all. Haha, these void monsters are really too weak. An invincible fiend devil exclaimed in excitement at the sight of this. To be honest, it had never felt so exhilarated before. Why were the void monsters so hard to deal with? It wasn't that these void monsters were stronger than the fiend devils. It was just that their bodies were special. Firstly, they had tough outer shells. Ordinary means couldn't penetrate the outer shells of the void monsters. Therefore, the fiend devils couldn't withstand the attacks of the void monsters at all. Most of the time, they were exhausted to death and still couldn't break through the defenses of the other party. If that was the case, how were they supposed to fight against the void monsters? But with the hell spears and other hell formation treasures, they realized that these void monsters were too weak. With a single stab, their outer shells would be penetrated and their bodies would be easily shattered. This feeling made them incomparably excited. Foolish fiend devils, do you think you can kill us just like that? We are the undying and indestructible void monsters. We are existences that cannot be killed. The outcome of this war has long been decided. A void monster roared. In midair, the fragments of the void monsters that were shattered by the invincible fiend devils seemed to be wriggling as if they were alive. They quickly gathered together as if they wanted to fuse and return to their original state. This was the most terrifying characteristic of the void monsters, undying and indestructible. To be honest, this was the truth that caused the fiend devils to retreat again and again. Even if they expended a great deal of effort to shatter the bodies of the void monsters, they would still be revived in a single breath's time. However, in a single breath of time, the void monsters revived again. Anyone would collapse and fall into despair. There was simply no way to fight this battle. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2851. Previously, the demons were also extremely fearful and despairing of the void monster's undying characteristic. After a battle, not a single one of them died, but more than half of them were injured or killed. As time passed, the void monsters became stronger and stronger, while the demons became weaker and weaker. This also caused the demons to fear the void monsters more and more, viewing them as their natural enemies. Foolish void monsters, we've already made preparations. You still want to revive? Die, all of you. An invincible demon laughed sinisterly and took out a dark golden talisman. This was a flame talisman that Xia Ping created. It contained the infernal golden crow's flames. Before the battle, he created billions of flame talismans with the goal of restraining the void monster's flesh and blood. As long as the void monster's undying characteristic could be restrained, they would be lambs waiting to be slaughtered. In the next second, it threw this dark golden talisman out and smashed it on one of the void monster's flesh. Instantly, this dark golden talisman surged out a dark golden flame. Haha, foolish demons, what effect do you think a small flame like this can have? Are you taking it out to be a joke? You're simply crazy. When one of the void monsters saw this, he burst out laughing in mockery. But in the next second, this wisp of dark golden flame suddenly burned crazily. It was as if a flame had encountered oil, and the flames rose crazily. In just a breath's time, what was originally a flame instantly turned into a ball of flames. This ball of flames was like a single spark that could start a prairie fire. As long as the other void monster's flesh and blood came into contact with it, they would start burning rapidly. Ah! Damn it, what kind of flame is this? What kind of flame is this? Why can't it burn our bodies? Stop, you bastards, hurry up and stop. Extinguish the flames, immediately extinguish the flames. Don't come into contact with these flames. It seems like these flames are specifically burning our flesh and blood, as if they appeared using our flesh and blood as fuel. This bunch of damned demons, what kind of method did they find? How can it restrain us void monsters so much? One after another, the void monsters let out shrill cries. They were extremely terrified. They had never been so afraid before. One had to know that they had relied on their indestructible bodies to rampage through the infernal plane, consuming demons as food. They had never encountered a worthy opponent. But now, hell actually had a way to restrain the undying characteristic of void monsters like them. This instantly scared them half to death, and their souls scattered. This meant that they no longer had the means to run amok in hell, which was equivalent to crippling most of their martial arts. This was a fatal blow. It's useful, it's really useful. As expected of Master, he's too powerful. These flames can really burn these void monsters to death, rendering their undying characteristic useless. An invincible devil shouted excitedly. To be honest, it was still doubtful of the flame talismans that Xia Ping took out. After all, the terror of the void monsters had long penetrated deep into the hearts of every demon. They also found it hard to believe that there was anything in this world that could cause fatal harm to the void monsters, but since it was their master's order, they had no choice but to obey. But when they saw this scene, they were so excited that they were about to go crazy. If there was a way to deal with the undying characteristic of the void monsters, it meant that the greatest threat of the void monsters had disappeared. Ordinary void monsters were no longer a threat to the devils. In the future, those void monsters that rampage through hell might all be killed by them, and the entire infernal world would truly welcome the era of demons. So that's how it is. Previously, there was also a large group of void monsters that attacked the Green Lotus Hell, but these void monsters all died. Before this, I was still wondering how those void monsters died. Now, it seems like they must have been burned to death by Master's flames and turned into fertilizer. An invincible devil suddenly came to a realization and recalled what happened in the Green Lotus Hell. Haha, the end of these void monsters is here. They were so arrogant before, relying on their undying body to carry out suicidal attacks at the slightest provocation, blowing us up one by one. Now, such flames can burn them to ashes. Let's see how they carry out suicidal attacks and burn one after another. An invincible devil felt unprecedentedly refreshed. Previously, they were bullied so badly by these void monsters. They were practically food, and the moment they were discovered, only death awaited them. Now that they had found the weakness of the void monsters, there was no need to fear them anymore. Attack! Kill them and burn them to death! One by one, the invincible devils shouted excitedly. Previously, they were still doubting their chances of winning this war. But after witnessing this scene, they no longer had any doubts. As long as the flames burned and turned into a sea of flames, these void monsters would all be burned to death. Rumble instantly, these invincible devils worked even harder. Wielding their hell spears, they smashed the void monsters that were charging at them into pieces. Then, they grabbed with their hands and tossed the pieces of the void monsters into the sea of flames formed by the Golden Crow hell flames. Instantly, they were burned to ashes. In the end, the Golden Crow hell flames grew bigger and bigger, burning through half the sky. The entire sky seemed to have turned into a sea of flames. What a decent fuel! At this moment, Xiaoping, who was hiding in the depths of the void, was extremely satisfied when he saw this scene. He didn't even need to do anything in this battle. Just these demons and the infernal Golden Crow flames were enough to slaughter all these void monsters. This was because the Golden Crow hell flames were way too effective against the void monsters. They were practically their natural enemies. One could even say that the flesh and blood of the void monsters were the best fuel. It was better than any fuel that Xiaoping had ever seen. Of course, he could also gain endless benefits from it. Each time he burned a void monster to death, a portion of the source energy would fuse into the hell of the Green Lotus and another portion would flow into Xiaoping's body. Walala Xiaoping could sense that the mana in his body was rising steadily. Originally, it would take millions and millions of years of bitter cultivation to condense mana. But after burning these void monsters to death, he could instantly obtain it. This saved him a lot of time and resources. It was better than any treasured medicine in the world. He could feel that he was getting closer and closer to the full cultivation of the immemorial ancient state. But the improvement of his powers wasn't the most important. The most important thing was that his Golden Crow hell bloodline was rising as well. Countless Golden Crow hell cells were awakening. Chapter 2852. B** starred. These demons actually found a way to deal with us. Run immediately. Bring this news back to headquarters and let them know. These demons are our greatest enemies, the strongest enemies in history. We have to eliminate them as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will be doomed in the future. We can't continue fighting. We have to escape and send the news back. Many of the void monsters were terrified. This was the first time they felt fear. These flames were their greatest nemesis, causing their immortal bodies to lose their effects. How could they be a match for these demons now? To be honest, the reason why they could run rampant in hell was because of their undying bodies. If they didn't even have this advantage, they would be no different from other life forms. Moreover, the other party outnumbered them. There was no way they could fight this battle. So. In an instant, countless void monsters fled in all directions, trying to escape from the Green Lotus hell. But it was only at this moment that they realized that the entire hell of the Green Lotus had been sealed. The void had been sealed. Let alone escaping, even sending a message was impossible. They realized that these demons weren't courting death. Instead, they were confident that they could annihilate them here. That was why they dared to do such a thing. But it was too late for them to realize this. Damn it. Even if we die, we have to drag these demons down with us. That's right. We won't die anyway. Even if we die, we can be reborn. There's no need to be afraid of them. Self-destruct and perish together with these demons. The void monsters were furious. They knew that they couldn't defeat these invincible demons. As the saying went, evil comes from the gut. Even if they self-destructed, they had to drag these demons down with them. Self-destruct? Have you asked me? At this moment, Xiaoping sensed the movements of these void monsters. He immediately sensed the movements of these void monsters. Clearly, these void monsters wanted to self-destruct and perish together with the other demons. If they succeeded, it was unknown how many demons would be killed or injured. These demons were his subordinates and could be considered his property. If too many of them died, it would hurt him. Naturally, he couldn't let these void monsters succeed. Thanks to the battle between the invincible demons and the burning of the Golden Crow Inferno, almost half of the void monsters were burnt to ashes by the Golden Crow Inferno. The other void monsters were also dejected and were no longer as insufferably arrogant as before. Illusion technique, one thought to create myriad worlds. In an instant, Xiaoping walked out from the depths of the void. With his body as the center, waves of tyrannical psychic power spread out, producing terrifying illusory fluctuations. His illusory abilities were already extremely powerful, reaching the realm of condensing hundreds of illusory worlds in an instant. Now, with the support of the Green Lotus Hell's essence power, his illusory abilities had reached an unprecedented peak. With a single thought, he could create over 10,000 illusory worlds. In an instant, tens of thousands of illusory worlds came crashing down and stacked on top of each other, covering the remaining void monsters and pulling their souls into the illusory world. Countless illusory runes immediately fused with their seas of consciousness, seemingly forming an illusory restriction formation that sealed them completely, causing them to fall into an illusory world, unable to extricate themselves. Too powerful! Xia Ping clenched his fists. He was extremely excited. To be honest, he did not expect the power of illusory arts to reach such a level. It simply ignored the defenses of these void monsters. As long as it was a life form with a soul, it would be instantly pulled into the illusory worlds, as though they had fallen into a nightmare world, causing them to be unable to distinguish between reality and illusion. Moreover, this power could not be resisted. Even if these void monsters had extremely strong defenses, they could not resist spiritual illusory arts on the spiritual level. Whoosh! At this instant, all the void monsters stopped and floated in midair, dumbfounded. Clearly, they could not move at all. What's going on? An invincible demon saw this scene and was a little dumbfounded. Those ferocious void monsters that wanted to self-destruct just now were now motionless. What exactly happened? To be honest, it was extremely vigilant just now. After all, if these void monsters self-destructed, it would definitely produce earth-shattering destructive power. If one did not resist it seriously, even an invincible demon would be blown to death. This was the terror of the void monsters. Even if they did not have any combat strength, they were super terrifying nuclear bombs. It's Master. Master has made a move. These void monsters are actually not moving at all. It seems like they are being controlled and have fallen into an illusion. Master's strength is really too strong. To think that even these void monsters could be pulled into an illusion. Isn't that so? It's not like there weren't any demons who tried to use illusory arts against these void monsters in the past. However, it was completely useless and they even suffered a backlash. Indeed, it's said that these void monsters' seas of consciousness are engraved with extremely powerful and mysterious restriction formations. Ordinary illusory arts cannot break through such boundaries. So what if they are powerful? Master still took care of them in the end. The invincible demons discussed and looked at Xia Ping in midair with great admiration. At this moment, their admiration for Xia Ping had increased. However, Xia Ping did not care about the discussions of the invincible demons around him. His attention was completely focused on these void monsters. In fact, killing these void monsters was only the first step. Most importantly, he wanted to know the secrets of these void monsters. He wanted to know where they came from and why they were in the infernal world. This was his most important goal. Interesting. This is a sealing restriction, a karmic restriction, and a 5-elemental restriction. No wonder it can prevent secrets from leaking. In an instant, Xia Ping scanned with his divine sense and immediately sensed the many complicated restriction formations in the depths of these void monsters' seas of consciousness. It seemed like in order to prevent these void monsters from leaking secrets, a great existence had engraved a sealing restriction in the depths of their seas of consciousness to prevent others from searching their souls. Once someone tried to break through, the restriction would immediately detonate and blast the void monster to death. At the same time, the surrounding life forms would not be able to withstand the explosion and would be blasted to death. Apart from this, there was also a karmic restriction. It seemed like if the void monsters tried to leak information about him to other life forms, they would immediately detonate the karmic restriction and die. This was a double-edged sword. It could prevent secrets from leaking, but it could also be used by outsiders, causing these void monsters to die tragically. This was a double-edged sword. It could prevent secrets from leaking, but it could also be used by outsiders, causing these void monsters to die tragically. Chapter 28:53. But even if I'm interrogating these void monsters, it won't do if I can't understand their language. Fortunately, I've consumed the universal translation fruit and finally understood their language. Xia Ping stroked his chin. In fact, he had consumed the universal translation fruit before. In just a few breaths' time, he could understand the language of the universe. In the beginning, he could not understand the void monster's language. But as time passed and he came into contact with them more, he finally understood what they meant. Therefore, language was no longer a problem for him. At this thought, he did not hesitate and asked one of the void monsters, "Where did you come from?" Instantly, waves of void fluctuations appeared in the depths of the void. They seemed to form the void language and were transmitted to the void monster's sea of consciousness, allowing them to hear them. At this moment, the void monsters had fallen into Xia Ping's illusion and fell into tens of thousands of illusory worlds. It was impossible for them to wake up. They had completely treated Xia Ping as their companion and were chatting casually. "We're from," the void monster subconsciously wanted to answer, but at that instant, the restriction formation deep in its sea of consciousness was activated. A destructive wave erupted from its body. Suppress. The moment Xia Ping made his move, a massive wave of world law energy enveloped the void monster, forming a transparent world cage that easily enveloped it. In that instant, the entire void monster immediately exploded. Even its soul was shattered, producing a terrifying destructive force. Of course, under the suppression of the world cage, the explosion wave did not spread out and did not affect the surroundings. Looks like deceiving this void monster's soul isn't enough. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He initially thought that as long as he deceived the void monster and made it not think that he had leaked the secret, it would not trigger the restriction formation deep in his sea of consciousness. That way, he would be able to get the secret easily. But now, it seemed like the restriction formation deep in the void monster's sea of consciousness did not care about that. As long as he tried to leak the secret to outsiders, it would immediately explode, whether it was intentional or not. In order to deceive this restriction formation, I'll probably have to deceive even the laws and make the restriction formation think that I'm one of them. That's the only way to deceive the world. Xia Ping felt that only the true demon god's power could do that. Only such power could deceive the laws and the great Tao, and even distort the great Tao laws. I am a void monster. In an instant, Xia Ping immediately used the authority of the true demon god on him. A power that could deceive and distort the laws of the great path emanated out, causing the laws in all directions to turn illusory. Crash! Immediately, the power of demon gods that distorted the laws enveloped his body, as if he had transformed into a void monster. Even his soul was identical to that of a void monster, and even the laws of cause and effect were distorted. He felt as if he had developed a sense of intimacy with these void monsters, as if they were comrades to begin with. What a powerful force! Xia Ping was amazed. To be honest, no matter how many times he used the power of the true demon god, he was still amazed. Such power was simply beyond common sense. The true demon god's words were definitely true. Even if it was false, it would definitely become true. Reversing cause and effect, reversing true and false, neither true nor false, neither false nor empty, this was an unimaginable realm. "Brother, where are we from?" At this moment, Xia Ping asked, looking at the other void monster. This time, he didn't trigger any restrictions. Clearly, the cause and effect restriction that was engraved in the depths of these void monsters' consciousness didn't think that Xia Ping was an outsider. Instead, they treated him as one of the void monsters. If he leaked this information to an outsider, he would naturally die. But if he was one of them, No matter how many secrets he revealed, there wouldn't be any problems. Idiot, did you lose your memory? We are from the evil god universe, the key of the gate Yog? We are the dependents of the evil god Sothoth, a void monster said matter-of-factly. Key of the gate Yog? Sothoth? What's his background? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Shut up, you idiot. How dare you be so disrespectful to the Lord? He knows everything about time and space. He is the great existence of the Silver Gate Key, and also the great God that created us. This void monster said fanatically. God. Xiaoping's heart was in turmoil. He didn't expect a god to be standing behind these void monsters. But didn't they say that the gods were long dead? Why did they still exist? And what was the meaning of this evil god universe? Without a doubt, these void monsters contained earth-shattering secrets. He calmed himself down and continued to ask, what does the evil god universe mean? It's literally what it means. The evil god universe is the universe world that we live in. There are many great evil gods in the place where we were born. They possess unimaginable godly powers. The void monster said, and this place is the hell universe. It is just a place that our evil god universe invaded. Life that is born in hell is our food. What? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He asked carefully. Based on what this void monster said, there were endless universes in the chaos world. Each universe was unique. Some were single universes, some were multiverse universes, some were plane universes, etc. Moreover, most of the life forms in the universe were unable to leave their original universe. They didn't even know that there were other universes outside. After all, just the universe itself was huge. One wouldn't be able to explore it in a lifetime, so where would they find the time to explore beyond the universe? But the evil god universe was different. They had developed to the extreme and gave birth to many evil gods. It could be said to be the era of the god. They were so strong that it made one's hair stand on end. To seek development, they had already broken through the boundaries of their original universe. They found a way to head to other universes and opened a space-time tunnel to other universes. And the Hell World was one of the universes that these evil gods found. Thus, they opened a space-time tunnel and invested a large amount of troops in an attempt to invade the Hell World and plunder the resources of Hell. But because they were life forms from the evil god universe, once they entered other universes, they would be targeted by the origin of the other universes. They would be greatly suppressed. The stronger the life form, the greater the suppression. There might even be heavenly wrath that could kill even the evil god. Thus, the evil gods couldn't enter at all. They could only send their subordinates in to slowly devour the entire hell world. And these void monsters were the dependents of the evil gods. Chapter 2854. To prevent any wrong information, Xiaoping didn't just ask one void monster. He also asked the other void monsters, especially the leader-class void monsters. It was obvious that such void monsters would know more. I see. As he asked more questions, Xiaoping gained a better understanding of the evil god universe. In fact, many evil gods in the evil god universe didn't invade other universes to develop, but to survive. One must know that even a seemingly eternal universe would have life and death. However, because the lifespan of a universe was too long, it was considered eternal to ordinary lifeforms. Many evil gods were born in the evil god universe. On the surface, they seemed to be flourishing, but they were in a state of decline. After all, each god needed to devour a large amount of resources from the universe. It could be said that the more gods there were, the more resources they would consume. As the evil god universe was flourishing, too many evil gods were born, causing the resources of the entire universe to deplete quickly, speeding up the universe's death. It could be said that the evil god universe had entered a period of decline and was about to be destroyed, starting the next universe epoch. However, these evil gods claimed to be immortal. How could they be willing to die along with the universe? They tried their best to find a way to prolong the universe's decline. In the end, they found a way. Since the universe was declining due to the depletion of resources, they would plunder resources from other universes to make up for the loss of the universe's source. Without a doubt, this method was effective. To a universe, if it could devour the source energy of other universes, it would naturally strengthen its own universe's source energy and prolong its aging period. It was said that some powerful universes had used this method to live to their second, third, and even fourth lives. The gods that lived in such universes were naturally extremely powerful. However, this method wasn't without its flaws. After all, plundering resources from other universes was equivalent to starting a war with them. Once a war broke out, the consumption of resources would increase exponentially. If they couldn't take down the opposing universe in a short period of time, it would speed up the destruction of their own universe. Fortunately, the evil god universe was extremely powerful. After several universe-level wars, they won and plundered large amounts of the universe's source energy to prolong the lifespan of the evil god universe. However, it only prolonged its lifespan. After all, different universes were different. Some were weak, while others were strong. The evil god universe was undoubtedly one of the stronger universes. Its origin energy was tyrannical. The universes they destroyed belonged to the weaker ones. Even if they obtained the origin, they could only slightly extend their lifespan. They could not live a second life. This time, the fiend god universe had their eyes on the underworld. This was because the level of the hell world was almost the same as the evil god universe. Moreover, it was still in the growth stage and was far from reaching its peak. This made it the best prey for the evil god universe. If he succeeded, the evil god universe would be able to extend his lifespan and live a second life. How do I destroy the universe? Xiaoping was very curious about this. He asked these void monsters in detail, and very soon, he understood. It was also very simple to destroy the universe. The first method was to kill most of the life in the universe, losing all the soul source energy. This way, the universe would enter a state of decline. This was because life itself was a part of the universe and was born by the universe's origin. If a life died and was absorbed by another life form in another universe, it would be equivalent to the other universe plundering its origin energy. The second method was to destroy every continent, every planet, and even every plane of the universe and devour the land's origin energy bit by bit. As long as more than 90% of the land was devoured, the universe would collapse naturally. Therefore, the war between universes was very cruel. Basically, one side would die and all the races would be wiped out. However, the Hell world was not so easy to take down. Even if they found a spacetime tunnel to enter the Hell world, they would be suppressed by the origin of Hell because they were creatures of other universes. The evil gods could not enter the Hell world at all. Otherwise, they would be killed by the origin of Hell. Origin suppression? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. In fact, he was not a creature of the Hell world, but he was not suppressed. Instead, he was supported by the origin of Hell. This was probably because he had the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell in him. Therefore, the Hell world recognized him as one of them. Therefore, he was not suppressed by the origin. It was the same for Luna. She was Xiaoping's dependent, so she was naturally recognized as a member of Hell. Because of this, only creatures below the rank of evil god could enter the Hell world. However, even so, they were greatly suppressed by the plane of Hell. They were weak and could not compare to demons of the same level. Moreover, the number of demons was endless. No matter what, the Hell world and the evil god universe were on the same level. Therefore, the evil gods suffered serious setbacks at the beginning and suffered heavy losses. In order to change this situation, the evil gods used their own flesh and blood to create void monsters that could be said to be immortal and had the bloodline of the evil god. These void monsters had the characteristic of being immortal and were extremely difficult to kill. At the same time, they could devour other flesh, life, and souls to increase their strength and speed up their growth. It could be said that they were the strongest war weapons of the evil god. Once they were sent out, they would be successful in every endeavor. Even the souls of these void monsters were bound to the evil god altar. Even if their physical bodies were destroyed, their souls would return to the evil god altar and be rapidly reborn. Therefore, these creatures from the evil god universe did not fear death and fought without fear. Evil god altar? Xia Ping clenched his fist. He finally understood why these void monsters were so arrogant. Turned out that they relied on their immortal bodies. Once they died, they could be reborn in the evil god altar. Therefore, they were fearless. With such a weapon of war, the devils were forced to retreat step by step, holing up in the infernal plane to defend. If this continued, it was only a matter of time before the demons were annihilated. This was something that was undeniable. Fortunately, Xia Ping came to the Hell World and barely managed to stop the attacks of the evil gods. It was obvious that these void monsters had met their nemesis. Even the power of the evil god altar could not stop the flames of the golden crow of hell. Before their souls could return to the evil god altar, they were probably burned to death by the flames of the golden crow of hell. And the flesh and blood of the evil god was the best fuel for the golden crow of hell. This was just like how everything in the world had a counter to each other. Chapter 2855. Space-Time Passageway? Xia Ping squinted his eyes. From the words of these void monsters, he knew that space-time passageways to other universes existed. Some were formed naturally. Just like how he went from the real universe to the Hell World, this space-time passageway was formed naturally and extremely sturdy. It could be considered a miracle in the universe. Some were created artificially. Just like the evil god universe, some of the stronger evil gods roamed the chaos, shuttling between universes in search of powerful universes. When they found a universe, they would observe the weakest part of the universe and use their powerful god power to forcefully open a space-time passageway to connect the universes. It was obvious that the evil god altar was opened by many evil gods using a large amount of god power. It was the only passageway that connected hell and the evil god universe. From this space-time passageway, one could go from the evil god universe to the hell world and from the hell world to the evil god universe. It was said that in order to open this stable space-time passageway that crossed the chaotic void, many evil gods were heavily injured and fell into a deep sleep. Until now, they had not woken up. Evil god universe? Xia Ping clenched his fist. He could feel the hell golden crow bloodline in his body boiling. To other living beings, these evil gods were the most terrifying beings. They couldn't be looked at directly. They were indescribable existences that couldn't be stopped at all. However, to the golden crows of hell, these evil gods were the best fuel and food. If he could burn all these evil gods to death, the benefits he would obtain would be unimaginable. He would reach the supreme realm instantly and even surpass the hell golden crow's realm. It seems like I can make a trip to the evil god universe. Maybe I can find an opportunity to become a god. Xia Ping's heart stirred. He felt that if he wanted to surpass the invincible sage and become a god, he would have to head to the evil god universe. There would definitely be a way to become a god there. And it was not just the evil gods. Even the evil god's minions, if he could burn them to death, would bring him endless benefits. Because at his current realm, if he wanted to break through, he did not know how much resources he would need to consume. After all, he had the 9 general consciousness seas, which formed the 9 great worlds. The resources he needed were endless. He might not even be able to find so many resources in the modern universe. Even if he could find it, he didn't know how long it would take. Not to mention advancing to the realm of gods. If he did not think of a way, even if he advanced to the realm of invincible saints, he would be trapped in this realm, unable to break through until the end of time. Forget it, let's not think about this for now. Since I've found out about these secrets, these void monsters are useless now. I'll just burn them all and turn them into nourishment for me to reach immemorial full cultivation. Thinking of this, Xia Ping's eyes flashed, and a terrifying flame circulated in the depths of his pupils. Rumble, in the blink of an eye, boundless infernal golden crow flames erupted from his body, instantly covering a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers, forming a boundless sea of fire. And in the depths of this dark golden sea of fire, there seemed to be a terrifying golden crow of hell. It stood on 3 legs, emitting a terrifying demonic aura that suppressed the heavens and earth. Master. So that's how it is. Master has inherited the bloodline of the demon god? No wonder it's so terrifying. Not only did he inherit the bloodline of the demon god, but he also inherited the authority of the demon god. This kind of bloodline power is like the demon god himself. No wonder his strength is so domineering. With this kind of strength, even without the support of the Green Lotus Hell Source, he can probably fight invincible demons. Seeing this scene, all the demons were shocked. All of them prostrated on the ground. Even if they were invincible demons, they could not resist the pressure of the demon god. This was the suppression from the bloodline. At the same time, all of them were convinced, and their hearts were filled with extreme respect. At the end of the day, hell was still a world where the weak were prey to the strong, and the strong were respected. Whoosh! The moment the infernal golden crow flames appeared, they immediately pounced on the bodies of the void monsters. Instantly, like fire meeting oil, a huge reaction occurred. Ah! What happened? What the hell happened? Weren't we fighting with these demons just now? We were about to win. How did this happen? Illusion. We fell into an illusion. We were all in an illusion just now. It was all a dream. Impossible. We are the dependents of the evil god, void monsters, undying existences. How could we fall into an illusion? How could such a ridiculous thing happen? We can't block it. We can't block such flames. Hurry up and run. Kill yourself. As long as we kill ourselves, our souls can instantly return to the evil god's altar and be reborn. It's useless, it's completely useless. Not only can such flames burn the bodies of our void monsters, but even our souls will be burned. Due to the unparalleled pain and the fear of impending death, the void monsters finally broke free from the illusion. But it was too late. The endless infernal golden crow flames had already engulfed their bodies. Instantly, the void monsters turned into huge dark golden torches, letting out shrill cries. But no matter how they struggled, they could not escape from the burning of the infernal golden crow. Rumble, in just a few breaths, none of the void monsters managed to escape. They were instantly burned to ashes by the infernal golden crow flames. All the impurities of the evil gods were turned to ash, leaving behind only the purest source energy. I see. At this moment, Xia Ping finally understood why Hell of Green Lotus would evolve so much after obtaining the source energy left by the void monsters. That was because the dependents of the evil gods came from other universes and had the source energy of other universes. They died here and their source energy was absorbed by Hell of Green Lotus. This was equivalent to Hell swallowing the source energy of the evil god universe to evolve. One had to know that the evolution level of the evil god universe was relatively high. It was many times higher than the infernal realm. It was just like a mortal obtaining the saint's origin energy. The benefits were simply too great. It was like reaching the heavens in a single step. This. In an instant, Xia Ping sensed that in the depths of his body, every single cell was devouring the massive source energy that was surging over from the evil god's minions. His magic power was increasing at a rate visible to the naked eye. Each infernal golden crow cell was awakening and his bloodline was improving. Chapter 2856. The moment all the void monsters were burned to death, the news was quickly sent back to the evil god altar. The evil god minions that were guarding the headquarters found out and they fell into endless panic. What's going on? What's going on? Why did all the void monsters we sent out die? None of them came back alive? All of a sudden, the void monsters guarding the evil god altar panicked. This was the first time they felt so terrified. One must know that in order to deal with the Green Lotus Hell, they had spent a lot of manpower and gathered more than 1 trillion void monsters. Such a force was unimaginable. No high-level hell plane could defend against so many void monsters. Once the army arrived, all the demons in the Green Lotus Hell would die and be devoured. This battle was definitely foolproof. They just had to wait for the news of victory. However, not much time had passed. Even though they should have just started attacking the Hell of the Blue Lotus, they received news that all the void monsters were dead. What terrified them the most was that none of the void monsters' souls came back alive. What kind of joke is this? What means did those evil demons possess to be able to annihilate our undying soldiers? Even the evil god altar couldn't save their souls. Why is that? Each of the void monsters was in a state of panic. Honestly, the main reason why they could run rampant in hell was because of their undying bodies. With their bodies, they weren't afraid of death at all. Anyway, even if their bodies were destroyed, their souls could quickly return to the evil god altar to be reborn. But now, after being killed by those demons, even their souls couldn't return. They had completely fallen in hell. There was nothing more terrifying than this. This was the first time they felt so terrified after invading hell. They were more afraid of the unknown. They didn't know what had happened in the Green Lotus Hell. Flames. I saw the scene of those void monsters dying in the evil god altar. Those were endless dark golden flames that destroyed everything. Their cries are still echoing in the evil god altar. One of the void monsters cried out in fear. It must be that mysterious demon that controls the demonic god's inheritance. Only it can control the method to destroy us void monsters. What kind of flame is this? Why is it able to cause such great damage to us? Even our souls are destroyed. Even the evil god's altar is unable to protect us. A void monster leader was in disbelief. Before this, probably none of the void monsters were willing to believe that they would die in this hell world. But now that the truth was right before their eyes, they had no choice but to believe it. I'm not sure, but what I do know is that those devils must have grasped a method to deal with us void monsters. They must have grasped a power that can restrain the undying bodies of us void monsters. That's why all the void monsters that attacked the Green Lotus Hell died. Not a single one of them could escape. A void monster leader was trembling. It couldn't imagine how Lord Evil God would punish them if he found out about this. Halt. Immediately halt our operations against the Hell of the Green Lotus. Before we figure out what secrets the Hell of the Green Lotus is hiding, we can't take action against the Hell of the Green Lotus. A leader of the void monsters roared. At this moment, the enemy was in the light while they were in the dark. They didn't know what kind of terrifying power the devils of the Hell of the Green Lotus controlled. If they acted rashly, they would only lose more troops. Even if they occupied the space-time tunnel to the Hell world, they would have to pay a huge price to transport resources from the evil god Cosmos. At this moment, the evil god Cosmos couldn't bear too much loss. If they lost a large amount of resources, it would definitely speed up the destruction of the evil god Cosmos and cause the entire evil god Cosmos to collapse. Therefore, they had to be extremely careful. I've said it long ago. This hell world isn't simple. Its level isn't any lower than our evil god Cosmos. It contains unimaginable secrets. We have to be careful and definitely can't let those devils obtain the demonic god's inheritance. Otherwise, it will definitely cause an unimaginable disaster. Now, it's finally happening. A void monster leader clenched his fists. What nonsense are you talking about? Who doesn't know about this? But this hell world is so huge and boundless. Even if we explored for billions of eras, we still haven't finished exploring it. How can we prevent this from happening? What's the point of saying all this? Another leader hollered in rage. Anyway, report this matter to the evil god and let him decide. This isn't something we can handle. I hope that our headquarters won't be destroyed, otherwise, our billions of eras of hard work would have been wasted. One of the Void Monster leaders thought of the worst possible outcome, which was that the demons would attack the Void Monster headquarters and kill them all. If that happened, they would lose this spacetime tunnel and wouldn't be able to return to the Hell world. When that happened, all the resources they spent here would be wasted. To the evil god Cosmos, this would be an unimaginable blow, and it would definitely make the evil gods go crazy. They could only pray that the devils in hell weren't as strong as they thought. But no matter what, they had to retract their defenses to prevent the devils from attacking and prevent the worst outcome from happening. As for hell, they could only find out more information before making the next decision. At this moment, within the central palace of hell, Xia Ping devoured the source energy of the massive void monsters. This was an unimaginably huge amount of energy, and it could be said to be boundless. If it was an ancient saint, he would need countless years to cultivate. Now that he had devoured the origin energy, his magic power filled every cell in his body and filled up his 9 seas of consciousness. Dong! Instantly, his body shook and some bottleneck seemed to have been broken. At this moment, he stepped into a new realm. Complete archaic realm. At this moment, after Xia Ping devoured the source energy, he finally advanced from late archaic realm to complete archaic realm. He reached the peak of archaic realm. The spiritual power in his body was vast and boundless at this moment. The 9 worlds were filled with boundless energy, and every cell in his body was filled with dense power of the world. It seemed like he had reached complete archaic realm, and there were no flaws left. His body gave off circular power of the world, as if he had turned into a huge circular world. 9 terrifying world domains spread out, distorting the void of hell in all directions, causing densely packed void patterns to appear in the surroundings. Chapter 2857. Whoosh, however, it wasn't a big deal that his world power had reached perfection. With enough time and effort, he would eventually be able to reach perfection. The most important thing was that his world laws had reached perfection. Right now, Xia Ping's sea of consciousness had formed 3,000 fragments of the world laws. It could be said that he had reached perfection in his world laws. There were no more flaws. It seemed that he was just one step away from breaking through to the invincible realm and comprehending the laws of life and death. Rumble, with Xia Ping's body as the center, his soul power spread out, covering an area of 80 million light-years. It could be said that his divine sense had expanded from 40 million light-years to 80 million light-years. His soul power had doubled. This was an extremely shocking improvement. Although it was just a minor advancement, the further one cultivated, the greater the difference between a minor realm and a minor realm. It was so huge that it couldn't be measured by distance. The 9 world domains on his body covered the entire Hell's void in 9 different directions. It was as if the projections of the worlds had descended. Right now, these world domains weren't just projections. They seemed to have solidified, as if they had turned from illusory to real, becoming a real world. The laws within the 9 worlds were becoming more and more complete. Mountains, seas, rivers, deserts, lands, and so on appeared. Countless universe origin laws flowed here. These world domains were extremely powerful. Once they covered the enemy, it was like summoning 1,000 worlds to attack. The enemy would be instantly crushed into powder, leaving nothing behind. It could be said that thanks to this improvement, the world power on his body had become even more terrifying. It had doubled in strength compared to before, and its power could be said to be boundless. His 5 clones also broke through at the same time and reached perfection of the Archean realm. If it was the current Xia Ping, he would probably be able to shatter the laws of life and death of ordinary invincible saints with a single punch. They wouldn't even have time to change their power. This was the terror of absolute power. All laws would be crushed into powder. Golden Crow of Hell bloodline. But for Xiaoping, the greatest improvement was still the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline. Because he had obtained a huge amount of origin energy from burning these void monsters, this ability was the greatest improvement to the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline. The infernal Golden Crow cells in his body were awakening at a crazy rate, causing his infernal Golden Crow bloodline to become even denser, revealing a dark golden color. At this moment, the color of Xiaoping's blood had completely changed, turning into a dark gold color. Every drop of blood seemed to flow with endless Golden Crow runes, as if there were Golden Crows of Hell living in it. Any drop of dark golden blood that fell could turn into a boundless sea of flames, or even the sun of Hell, emitting eternal heat and burning away all impurities. It wasn't just his blood that had changed. Even his bones had undergone heaven-shaking, earth-toppling transformations. They had been tempered into godly bones that contained deathless godliness, and were covered with numerous magical symbols of Hell. They radiated an ancient and noble aura, as if they were gods that had existed since time immemorial. If Xiaoping died now, his body wouldn't decay even after millions and millions of epochs had passed. It would still retain its powerful vitality and vitality. 10 million, 100 million, a billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, a trillion. Xiaoping felt his heart beating. Every awakened infernal Golden Crow cell surged with a large amount of infernal Golden Crow source energy and large amounts of infernal Golden Crow flames. The awakening of the infernal Golden Crow cells seemed to be endless. Only when he finished swallowing all the void monster's source energy did the awakening of the infernal Golden Crow cells stop. But at this moment, his body had awakened a trillion infernal Golden Crow cells, which was 10 trillion. One must know that he had awakened 6 trillion infernal Golden Crow cells before, and now he had awakened 10 trillion. This meant that he had an increase of 4 trillion infernal Golden Crow cells. This was a terrifying number. But from this, one could see how beneficial the void monster's source energy was. Moreover, these were just the normal dependents of the evil gods. If he could burn an evil god to death, he didn't know what realm he would reach. This, just as Xiaoping's infernal Golden Crow cells reached 10 trillion awakened, he felt the cells vibrate, and a large amount of bloodline information flowed through them. His body shook, and he instantly received a message from the depths of his consciousness. At this moment, a new bloodline ability was born in his body, Future Foresight. The Golden Crow race had a famous nickname called Crow's Mouth. Good things didn't come true, but bad things did. Basically, when a crow cried, bad things would happen. In truth, this was the Golden Crow race's supreme talent. They could sense the arrival of misfortune. But such talent wasn't enough for the Golden Crow race to avoid misfortune. After all, they could only sense misfortune slightly, but they didn't know what exactly it was. But after it evolved into the infernal Golden Crow, it absorbed endless hell's source energy and the power of destiny, causing its bloodline ability to change drastically. It went from foresight of misfortune to foresight of the future. This was a qualitative change. As long as one used this bloodline ability, they could foresee days, years, or even tens of thousands of years into the future. This foresight ability grew along with their cultivation. With this ability, the infernal Golden Crow was invincible. It seized countless opportunities and grew quickly. Future Foresight. In an instant, Xiaoping felt his body shake, and his soul seemed to merge with the river of destiny. He looked down at the fates of all living beings, peeking at the trajectory of destiny. Countless scenes of destiny appeared in the depths of his consciousness. Not only could he see his own destiny, but he could also see the destiny of all living beings in hell, and the future a few days later. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He saw that because of his infernal Golden Crow bloodline, he had suffered a heavenly tribulation, the entire hell of Green Lotus had leveled up, and countless demons had benefited. There were also some scouts from the evil god universe near the hell of Green Lotus. They seemed to be afraid of this failure, so they didn't dare to launch a large-scale attack. They all withdrew their forces and returned to defend the old nest of the evil god altar. It could be said that for a long time in the future, as long as these void monsters didn't discover his secret, they wouldn't dare to launch a large-scale attack on the Hell of Green Lotus or other planes of hell. And the hell world would welcome a rare period of peace, and the demons would have an unprecedented chance to breathe. Chapter 28:58. Wallalan. In that instant, the entire hell of the Green Lotus was filled with dark clouds. Layers upon layers of dark clouds gathered together, making them look like mercury. Waves of terrifying lightning tribulation energy were brewing in the depths of the dark clouds. A vortex seemed to have formed in the center, producing a terrifying spiral force. It was like the eye of the lightning tribulation. Such a terrifying heavenly might descended upon the entire Green Lotus hell, causing countless demons to shiver in fear. Even the invincible demons were trembling in fear. It was as if a single bolt of lightning could strike them half to death or even turn them into ashes. What is this? Some invincible demons looked at the clouds brewing in the sky in fear. They had lived for so long, but they had never seen such a lightning tribulation. It was as if all the tribulations of the world had gathered together, emitting a destructive aura and power. Moreover, the clouds had already enveloped the entire Green Lotus hell. There was nowhere for them to hide. Don't worry. Master is going through his tribulation. Some demons from the burning hell had seen something like this before, so they weren't surprised at all. Tribulation? What does that mean? Many demons were dumbfounded because they had never seen such a thing, and they had never gone through a tribulation. It seems like the demonic god bloodline in Master is too dense, causing the world to be jealous. He was punished by the heavens. Only by going through the lightning tribulation can he obtain the recognition of the origin of hell. Otherwise, he will be turned into ashes by the lightning tribulation. One of the demons said, "Something like this happened?" Many demons were speechless. They were in awe. To be honest, they had seen demons with the demonic god bloodline before, such as the Hell Elephant and the Hell Dog. But they had never experienced anything like this. It was impossible for them to attract the attention of the origin of hell. I'm afraid that Master's strength is too monstrous. Ordinary demons can't do anything even if they want to. Some demons were in awe and sighed. The other demons couldn't help but nod their heads. Fighting a demigod as an immemorial realm cultivator was an earth-shattering achievement. They had never seen a demon this powerful before. After all, the difference between the immemorial realm and the demigod realm was just too great. It was almost impossible to challenge a demigod realm cultivator. However, their master was able to do it. This was enough to prove how monstrous their master was. They really did not know how strong their master would be if he were to advance to the demigod realm. This lightning tribulation is so huge. Master should be fine, right? An invincible demon said worriedly. Don't worry. Who do you think our master is? His battle prowess is unparalleled, and he has the support of the essence of the Green Lotus hell. There's no way he can't overcome the lightning tribulation. We'll just watch from the side. Indeed. Even if we wanted to help, it would be impossible. It is said that for such a lightning tribulation, the more others help, the stronger it will be. Helping is not worth it. I think we should stay further away. Perhaps Master will be fine, but we will be affected. Perhaps we will be struck to death by the tribulation lightning and reduced to ashes. That is indeed the case. Although we are not tribulation fiends, if we were to get too close, we might be affected. Many demons couldn't help but nod. They subconsciously distanced themselves from the center of the heavenly tribulation. If they were struck to death by the lightning tribulation, it would be too unjust. Moreover, the power of the thunder tribulation could restrain the demons, so they couldn't resist it at all. At that moment, Xia Ping stood in the middle of the tribulation clouds, right below the eye of the thunder. In fact, no matter where he went, the eye of the thunder would follow him. It's the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements, and it has reached 1,080 levels. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He could sense the terror of the thunder tribulation in the sky. It was the famous thunder tribulation of the 5 elements, which contained the power of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. It could be said to be the top thunder tribulation in the world. When it came crashing down, the power of the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements would shatter everything. It seemed to have the power to create the universe and recreate the world. Even saints of the invincible realm would find it hard to resist the terror of the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements. More importantly, the power of the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements had reached 1,080 levels, which made the power of the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements evolve to its peak, containing the power to destroy heaven and earth. The thunder tribulation is indeed getting more and more insane. Xia Ping took a deep breath and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Even though the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements was extremely terrifying, he wasn't afraid at all. In fact, he was even tempted to give it a try. That was because he had gone through countless terrifying thunder tribulations ever since he started cultivating. Even though the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements was extremely strong, it was just one of them. Moreover, his cultivation base had reached the perfected immemorial realm, and his strength was many times stronger than before. Naturally, he wouldn't be afraid of the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements. Rumble in the blink of an eye, the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements rained down from the sky. Gold, green, blue, red, yellow. 5 different colors of the thunder tribulation struck down at the same time, seeming to contain the power of life and death of the 5 elements. It was as though a world of the 5 elements was crashing down, shattering the entire world into pieces. Go! In an instant, Xia Ping had his world tree clone appear with a single thought. It stood in midair and the massive world tree blocked all the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements in an instant. The power of the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements bombarded the world tree clone, immediately tempering the world tree clone. At the same time, the world tree devoured and absorbed the power, not harming the world tree clone at all. Whoosh! It seemed that this scene made the heavenly tribulation even angrier. In an instant, billions of thunder tribulation of the 5 elements exploded, covering a radius of tens of thousands of light years. It was like a sea of thunder tribulation, spreading like a flood, crushing everything. However, at this moment, the Kuanping clone appeared. It looked like a blue whale, and as soon as it appeared, it emitted the aura of an immemorial god. It opened its mouth and swallowed all the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements in an instant. Countless terrifying thunderbolts bombarded the surface of its body. If it were an ordinary creature, it would have been killed by the power of the thunderbolts, electrocuted into charcoal. However, the Kuanping clone contained the power of invulnerability, and could devour everything. The thunderbolts could not harm its body. Whoosh! 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 In the next second, Gaia's avatar, the Hell's divine elephant avatar, and the Hell's golden crow avatar also appeared. They stood in 3 different positions and surrounded Xia Ping. They exuded an extremely powerful aura that shook the void. The 5 clones seemed to form a perfect shield, protecting the body. No matter how terrifying the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements was, it could not penetrate the 5 clones and harm the body. Chapter 2859. 10 days and 10 nights passed in the blink of an eye. In the Green Lotus Hell, the 5 elements lightning tribulation had struck Xia Ping for 10 days and 10 nights. The 1080th wave of the 5 elements lightning tribulation was simply earth-shattering. The surrounding mountains and other places within a radius of tens of thousands of light-years collapsed where Xia Ping was, creating a huge crater that covered tens of thousands of light-years. The 5 elements lightning descended and turned into lightning liquid that flowed in the crater. As a result, the place turned into a boundless 5 elements lightning ocean, forming a unique secret realm. The demons in the Green Lotus Hell trembled in fear at the sight. Fortunately, it was finally over. The extremely thick tribulation clouds in the sky finally dissipated, and the sky returned to its original clarity. The omnipresent aura of the tribulation also blended into the depths of the hell's void. I've finally passed the tribulation. At that moment, Xia Ping stood in midair. His body was also tattered and charred. His hair was standing on end, making him look like an African refugee. The other 5 clones were the same. They were all tattered and looked very wretched. After all, it was 1080th wave of the 5 elements lightning tribulation. It would be extremely difficult for any demigod to withstand it, let alone a primordial saint. Therefore, it was impossible for one to not be injured by such a tribulation. Even so, Xia Ping's eyes were still bright and filled with a terrifying light. Although he looked wretched, the essence blood in his body was extremely vigorous. He was not injured at all. In reality, this was both a tribulation and an opportunity. After being tempered and hammered by the 5 elements lightning tribulation, Xia Ping's main body and 5 clones were fully tempered, making his body even stronger. His body contained the source energy of the 5 elements lightning tribulation. Taking advantage of this lightning tribulation, his body was able to devour even more of the lightning tribulation's power. It was as if the endless power of the law of lightning was flowing through his meridians. At that moment, Xia Ping's eyes lit up. Endless laws of lightning flowed in the depths of his consciousness, as well as the countless lightning techniques and chaotic lightning techniques that he had previously comprehended. In the end, he was shocked and had a flash of inspiration. He seemed to have transformed. In an instant, he stood where he was and punched out. The terrifying power of the thunder calamity in his body erupted, forming a terrifying lightning fist that took on a spherical shape. Dong! This punch ruthlessly bombarded a huge mountain in the distance. In an instant, this huge mountain was shattered into pieces and turned into ashes. It produced an extremely terrifying destructive power. It is indeed powerful enough. Xia Ping was very excited. After transcending the 5 elements lightning tribulation, he had combined the chaos lightning art and many other lightning magical arts to create his own divine ability, the chaos lightning fist. This fist technique was created by fusing the laws of lightning, chaotic force, 5 elements force, and spacetime force. It was a supreme fist technique. A single punch could immediately draw upon the power of the lightning tribulation laws of heaven and earth and stir the laws of primal chaos, producing unparalleled destructive power that could instantly kill the enemy. Even creatures with extremely powerful defenses could not withstand the chaotic lightning fist's attack. This was because the power of the lightning calamity was a power that restrained all things in the world. Even a creature like the Kuan Pung, which was known to be invincible, would be restrained by the lightning calamity. This was a power that was like divine punishment. If it was used against demons from the abyss, demons from hell, or even evil gods and other negative creatures, the threat of the chaotic lightning fist would be even greater. Moreover, it was not only a physical attack but also a soul attack. A single lightning strike could instantly blast the enemy's soul into pieces and turn them into ashes. It could be said that he had obtained another trump card. The Hell of the Green Lotus seems to have evolved. After transcending the lightning calamity, Xia Ping finally had the mood to care about other things. With a thought, he immediately realized that the Hell of the Green Lotus had undergone a tremendous change. As he had killed 1 trillion void monsters, he had obtained a massive amount of origin energy from the evil god universe. Although he had devoured a portion of it, most of the origin energy had been absorbed by the Hell of the Green Lotus. As such, one could imagine the benefits that the Hell of the Green Lotus had obtained. Compared to 10 days ago, the area of the Hell of the Green Lotus was more than 10,000 times bigger than before. Moreover, it was still expanding. This was not the final form of the Hell of the Green Lotus. Moreover, Due to the strengthening of the Hell's origin energy, the land of the Hell of the Green Lotus had become stronger. In the past, the invincible demons could still cause massive destruction in the Hell of the Green Lotus. However, it was no longer possible now. Even if the invincible demons fought with all their might in the Hell of the Green Lotus, they would only be able to cause damage to a small area. Moreover, this was under the situation where they went all out. If they didn't go all out, they might not even be able to topple a mountain. Even the invincible demons were in such a state. One could imagine the other demons. They couldn't even leave a mark on a rock. This was the strength of the Hell of the Green Lotus. It can't be. The Yellow Springs River has also strengthened. What shocked Xiaoping the most was that the Yellow Springs River underground had evolved along with the Hell of the Green Lotus. The Yellow Springs holy water seemed to have increased as a result. Massive Yellow Springs River surged underground, expanding the area underground. This also made the Yellow Springs River even more vast. It seemed like it could turn into the Yellow Springs River, and not just a river anymore. One day, it might turn into the Yellow Springs Sea and turn into a boundless Yellow Springs Sea. Thanks to the expansion of the Yellow Springs River, the Yellow Springs River, which was originally full of demons, was no longer so crowded. It could accommodate more evil spirit. Of course, the expansion of the Yellow Springs River had great benefits to the Hell of the Green Lotus. This feeling seems to be the aura of a demon god. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He could sense that the Hell of the Green Lotus source was extremely strong. It was much stronger than before. It was on a completely different level. As the Hell of the Green Lotus evolved, it was obvious that the high-level Hell could no longer accommodate it. Because of this, it was evolving crazily towards the demon god plane. It seemed like after a period of time, the Hell of the Green Lotus would grow into a demon god plane. In fact, the other demons could also sense the changes. They felt that their cultivation speed was getting faster and faster. They were evolving at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the demons with low-grade bloodlines felt that they were improving at a godlike speed. Clearly, during the process of the Hell of the Green Lotus evolution, they had also obtained great benefit. He had a feeling that if the Hell of the Green Lotus advanced to the demon god plane, he might be able to peek into some of the secrets of the demon god. Chapter 2860. A few days later. In the central palace of the Green Lotus Hell, Xiaoping had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days. Through this period of cultivation, he could be considered to have stabilized his skyrocketing cultivation base, completely stabilizing it at the perfected immemorial realm. He was just one step away from breaking through to the demigod realm and mastering the law of life and death. Of course, he had also awakened 1 trillion infernal golden crow cells in his body. The bloodline in his body was extremely dense. If he awakened 1 trillion cells, the infernal golden crow bloodline in his body would be completely awakened. He's already reached the peak of immemorial realm? Xiaoping sighed with emotion. He didn't expect himself to advance to this realm so quickly. Compared to him at the beginning, he was much, much stronger. It could be said that he was already standing at the pinnacle of the universe. Other than the gods, no one could do anything to him. Moreover, it wouldn't take long for him to completely inherit the Golden Crow's bloodline and completely unseal all the Golden Crow's cells. It's about time to head to the Fiend God universe to take a look. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. After this period of cultivation, his strength had increased by too much. Although he might not be able to fight against the evil gods, with the treasures he had on him, he could at least ensure that he wouldn't die. To be honest, his understanding of the evil god universe was still too little. If he didn't understand the evil god universe, he wouldn't know the details of this enemy. This would be very disadvantageous for the future war. Once the infernal world was completely devoured by the evil god universe, the modern world might also be affected by the evil god universe, causing an unimaginable disaster that was even more terrifying than the Abyss invasion. Therefore, he had to head to the evil god universe to investigate the situation. Of course, he was not unprepared for this. Firstly, the authority of the true demonic god allowed him to change his identity and even deceive the origin laws of the universe. This way, even if he entered the evil god universe, he wouldn't be discovered by the evil gods, and he wouldn't be targeted by the universe origin. This was the best ability for a spy. Secondly, he also had the formless mask, which could conceal his aura and change his appearance. In the end, even if he encountered a great danger, he could use the wish compass to escape. It could be said that he had all kinds of tricks up his sleeves and was in an invincible position. However, before heading to the Fiend God universe, I still have to refine a large number of Nether God demonic curses. Xia Ping waved his hand, and the power of his bloodline condensed into an underworld god talisman. This was the underworld god talisman that made countless invincible demons submit. The reason why he needed to condense so many Nether God demon curses was because he wanted to give them to those invincible devils. The plan to abduct invincible demons from other hell planes had yet to be completed. It could be said that this was only the beginning, and the plan was still ongoing. After all, his goal was to unify the entire hell world. This was the best plan. As long as he controlled all the invincible demons in the hell world would naturally belong to him. Of course, there were some high-level planar lords, but their subordinates were under Xia Ping's control. Therefore, they weren't much of a threat at all. Therefore, this plan could not be abandoned halfway. In order for the plan to proceed smoothly even if Xia Ping left, he had to condense a large number of Nether God demon curses and give them to the invincible demons to handle. If he tricked the invincible demons into the hell of the Green Lotus, there was no need to trick them. As long as the invincible demons in the hell of the Green Lotus subdued the invincible demons and planted the Nether God demon curses in them, they would naturally become his dependents. There was no need for him to show up personally. In the past, the invincible demons might not be able to deal with other invincible demons. But now, the invincible demons in the hell of the Green Lotus had hell treasures, and their strength had increased by several times. Moreover, with a group of invincible demons ganging up on them, he believed that no matter how strong the invincible demons were, they would fall for it. If this snowball continued, sooner or later, all the invincible demons in the hell world would become Xia Ping's dependents. After a few more days, Xia Ping had condensed tens of thousands of Nether God Talisman Amulet. He believed that with so many Nether God Talisman Amulets in hand, he would definitely be able to subdue enough invincible demons. Yes, it's time to head to the nest of the Void Monsters. At the thought of this, he spoke to Luna and directly left the hell of the Green Lotus, flying toward the nest of the Void Monsters. At this moment, Xia Ping's speed was extremely fast. With a single thought, he could cross a distance of 80 million light-years. Even invincible sages would not be able to match his speed. Even though the nest of the Void Monsters was very far away from the hell of the Green Lotus, it would not take him too long. In just a day's time, he arrived at the outer region of the Void Monster's nest. Of course, he wore the formless mask, concealing all of his aura. Otherwise, he would probably be discovered by the power here the moment he got close to the nest. Is this the nest of the Void Monsters? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He saw a huge lair in the distance. It was like a huge and boundless beast lying in the void of hell. In terms of size, this nest was probably not much smaller than the hell of the Green Lotus. Its entire body was pitch black, and it emanated gloomy, evil, darkness, blood, chaos, death, and other auras. It was like an evil body from the abyss, containing the power to distort everything. If a normal life was here, their soul would probably be distorted by this terrifying evil power. This was the power of the evil god. It was indescribable, 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 indescribable. Only Xia Ping, who had grasped the power of the golden crow of Hell's bloodline, could look at the nest here without any effort. So many void monsters. Xia Ping activated the golden crow of Hell's eyes, as though he could see through all illusions. Tens of thousands of light-years were covered by his gaze. It was like the eyes of a god high above, seeing everything clearly. He could see many void monsters returning from the outside, and they were all gathering in this nest. Endless evil aura spread out from this place, making one's heart tremble. Just the void monsters that he could see with his naked eyes were probably more than the void monsters that attacked the Hell of the Green Lotus previously. Clearly, this was all the military strength of the evil god's nest. Moreover, these void monsters were still being created endlessly. Let's go in and take a look. However, if he stayed outside, Xia Ping would not be able to see anything. If he wanted to know the true secrets of the void monsters, he had to enter the nest of the evil god. So, thinking about this, he didn't hesitate. His body flashed, and he instantly attached himself to one of the void monsters that returned to the nest. One must know that the surface area of the void monsters was extremely huge, like a sun. Xia Ping was just a normal human, and when he attached himself to it, he was like a speck of dust. He was so small that he wouldn't be discovered at all. Sogu website.